gotta leave it to the professionals.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been golden when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the blockchain.
Now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like the Brown James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. Reviews not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum NFTs. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Freaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in shoes. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, miny, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. I had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. Had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain GM. GM, thanks so much for joining us here. Already done so, do us a favor, drop us a GM in the chat down below, then head up top, smash that like, repost, and bookmark on today's space. We greatly appreciate it. Warms up the algo, lets everyone know we're here, and does us a real solid. We're also live over in the Abstract on Steve's feed today, and the X video feed on Steve's account as well, and as well in the YouTube streets. Appreciate all the GMers, the best GMers, drop them in all those chats. As always, I'm Cap, Jim, my co-host, Steve, nerdy financial advice on the show. Crypto's risky. NFTs are risky. Meme coins exceptionally risky. Go to zero to moments notice. Please don't put any money you can't afford to lose. Know that Steve and I will hold tokens we'll talk about from time to time here in the show. We're not financial advisors, certainly not your financial advisors. Don't join us for that. Just join us for some fun, some information, and maybe a little education along the way. Steve, I'm having it just went away, but I was getting the Wi-Fi notification again. So I'm going to, I just sent you your 69 Pingu for my Abstract transaction. I'm going to go ahead and shut down the Abstract chat just to play it safe. So if you don't mind manning that one today, I will do my best to stay on top of the X chat. And I also have, speaking about my Abstract transaction, I'll get to that in a second. Remind me, I've got a quick, simple little double farm. But GM, sir, how you doing today?
GM, doing well. Going with the beats today. I heard the audio from the Pons interview when I was editing that yesterday, and it did not sound great. So pulling in the headphones for today, which is odd because they're like super noise canceling. So it's like there could be a, parade going on behind me. Maybe not the Oklahoma City one that looked pretty quiet, but there could be a parade going on behind me and I wouldn't know what's going on.
Are those wireless and you just have it plugged in because you can, or is it yeah.
So it's the, they can be wireless, but they have the plug that has the mic on it that goes in. It's an older pair of Beats. I can't remember when I got them. It was like
I got a really nice pair of studios. I should probably find them because they were like so long story short, back when I was a Verizon dealer, we did our franchise did a deal with Beats actually and Monster. It was actually, I think we did the deal with Monster and Beats right before Apple acquired them. And long story short, we just like one of our entire accessory walls was in a full Beats lineup. Anyways, I digress. But they were the studios where you actually had to put a battery in them, like they were powered. They're really good. I'm not like an audio head like that, but yeah, I just completely forgot about them. But they're in storage somewhere. I should get them out and either use them or sell them.
Good audio makes a difference. I actually, and I know you know this, but it's like I'm not a big audio guy either. But it's like not that big of a deal to me. I tend to not hear the difference, or at least early on when that was a big thing, I didn't. But the Beats, I remember when I got these, it sounded different. It was crazy. Like it was just so much better. The calibration was better. It was just better. And then I recently got a little bit of like a Sonos system. So basically my TV sound bar and the surround in that room, a Move, which is the one that's portable that you can bring indoor, outdoor, upstairs, whatever, and then one in our kitchen. So just like 3 little pieces. The quality, and one of the reasons I got it is my old sound bar was this really cheap Vizio one that I had that I got because I wanted a sound bar. But like sometimes I'd be watching a movie and like there was no way to change the levels, and it would be like the music would be loud, but you couldn't hear the dialogue. It was awful. So we replaced it with the Sonos. Not only is it better on the TV, but you hear parts of songs that you know were intended to be part of it that maybe get drowned out when you listen to traditional audio and the way that it's calibrated. Like you'll hear little snares and things that maybe you didn't hear before. So I'm really happy with it. And the other thing that's cool about it is like if we're outside hanging out as a fam, I'll get I'll put the speaker outside and we'll all jam to it. And then you walk inside, the music's still playing on that stuff, and you can break it up if you need to, if you want something different inside. So really big fan of that as well. But yeah, GM to all the GMers. GM Abstract, we got Mesh Diablito, we got Thomas, we got Von Frunten, we got Dwayne over there. Up in the YouTube chat /X video chat, RDL, Mesh Diablito, Big Bear, Von Frunten, Big Bear doubling up on both chats, which you love to see. She's crushing it. Von Frunten, RDL, Marathon Crypto as well. And then over in the X chat, always appreciate our friends over in the X chat, although like I said, I'm multitasking on the road, so finding the X chat is harder for me on that one. But GM to all the GMers, I'm going to guess Mel's in there.
Yeah, Mel's flipping though. Mel was 21st today in the 21st GMer in the X chat. So Mel's down bad, but I told her I respect her counting at least to know where she's at, and I expect her to be back at least in the top 10 tomorrow, if not.
Yeah, got to get those rookie numbers, Mel. Got to pump those up. But GM to all the GMers out there. Von Frunten always hits the triple cats. Chief, Dwayne, Diablito, Dobbins always out there. Odeka, General Wags, always love seeing you out there. Otis Bricketall, love it. Valerie, good seeing you yesterday. Ran into Valerie yesterday. Actually, cool moment there. Ran into her. So she was in Starbucks Odyssey. We've obviously known her in Web3 for a little bit. She used to do Fashion Friday stuff as well. In my when I was doing that back in the day with Clubhouse Archives. She ran up and said hi to me, and then I met, sort of some people with the project she's working on right now. Sounds kind of interesting. And one of the guys came up to me after and was talking to me about something he thought was cool that I might be able to help them with in some way, shape, or form. And he was like, "So what do you do here?" And I mentioned I did a morning show, and I'm like, "I wrote this book. It's called The Everything Token." He's like, "I just got done reading that." And I'm like, "Are you messing with me?" He's like, "No, Valerie's like, we need this for everybody. And we have these ad agency people who maybe weren't up to speed on crypto and Web3. He's like, so we gave them all this book, and it was like a learning curve that got them all the way up." And I was like, oh man, like that's the greatest thing to hear. Cause that's literally the point of the book is that, it's funny. Like it's one of those books that it was written in a way that the examples might get aged, like jab, 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 right hook, or any Gary Vaynerchuk book. The examples might get aged, any traditional marketing book, because things will come in and out of favor. But the actual framework and bones were meant to be relatively timeless. And it's funny because it seems to be playing out as we're entering business season. We had Pons on yesterday, found that pretty interesting. Much, much more interested in what he's building now, having talked to him about it. And it's funny because as we enter the business season, I actually think the Everything Token ages better. Like Scott and I were talking about like what a second book would look like. I wish we had already started it, a couple weeks ago. which would be like a more updated book about some other topics that we think would be valuable. And it's like, I think they're going to age better now that people are starting. Like, it felt like we were never going to enter this business era that I thought was happening like 3 years ago. But it feels like we are. And it feels like stuff like that's going to age well, because I'm seeing more and more people even already starting. I mean, I'm starting to get nervous about my stake Kaido in the sense of after a day later, in the sense that I'm seeing people kind of turn on Kaido a little bit when Zeke came out and said signal over noise, and people are starting to, you made the comment about the blindness. Like, I'm not that I think it's going to stop printing like tomorrow, but I'm starting to get more antsy that if they don't start adjusting things, which I know they're trying to work on, I know you's working on that. So
look, this is the best thing. This is the best thing for Zeke, Cookie, Wall Chain. You need competition. Like, if these other startups don't come into the intent to compete with Kaido, then Kaido just keeps doing what they're doing, and they're printing. I wasn't aware. I had heard it was $100K a month for campaigns. I was not aware until this morning. Did you see Bo's post?
No. But
just to get listed, not a campaign, just to get listed on Kaido. Do you know how much it is?
Oh, she put like $150,000 for the listing fee. I did see that. I thought you were talking about her. She was saying she was coming out with some big airdrop post. I thought you were talking about that one. No, the $150,000 listing fee.
They brought in over $12 million just in listing fees.
And that's not counting like a retainer, right? Like, that's just like
that's not a camp. That's just to get listed on the site. Like, you like, they are absolutely printing. And I like Kaido. It's not like they're not building rockets over there, right? Like, I just don't see a future where I say this tongue in cheek, because I've been saying the same thing about Pump.Fund for the last year, that I don't see a future where in anything, in like something without a moat, has such dominant market share that's such extremely high margin revenue. It just doesn't make sense. They're either going to A, have to reduce their prices, B, improve their platform, or C, they stay the same and these other platforms are just going to start chopping away at their market share, which all like, that's probably the most likely outcome. It doesn't mean Kaido can't win still, but they, like, the business they built for what they have is kind of insane. And I said it this morning in the warm, like, I don't blame Pons for going after that. Like, it's like I said it tongue in cheek, but like, dude, should I be trying to build an InfoFi platform? Like, no one's solved for spaces, no one's solved for audio yet, no one's solved for video. I know it's easier said than done, but I think this stuff is going to get, we're in like we're still in taking batting practice in terms of InfoFi, where I think it can get to. It is so far from it's so far from perfect. There's a lot of flaws with it. I agree, and the frustrations, and I understand, and I agree with all that. I just don't think it's going to go away. I think it's just going to evolve, get better. And the fastest way that happens is with good competition. So yeah, I think I'm here for the InfoFi era. I'm excited to, like, this is one thing I'm genuinely excited to have the front row seat to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I'm an active participant, and I think I can earn some money along the way. But as an entrepreneur and someone that enjoys building businesses and see other businesses get built, this is a novel industry. And I'm having fun watching this thing play out. I think we're literally, I don't even think we're in the top of the first inning yet.
Yeah, I think it's a thing that you're pointing out, is like the idea of trends, right? Where it's like NFTs are an interesting trend. They got over financialized and, became like an issue that they ran into. Obviously, there's a bubble. There's a lot of things that contribute to that, but like, they were a very, they're an important trend, but they're an important part of business infrastructure in the future once the blockchain starts getting built. Blockchain is the overarching industry. Crypto and, stable coins always made sense. I was beating the stablecoin drum as a nerd a few years ago because I thought it was like interesting that, you could do it. It's like better money. So there's certain things in crypto that stand out. Bitcoin is a store of value that just stand out in these ways. And again, these aren't all in the same playing field. I'm not saying they're comparative. I'm more just saying that there are trends in crypto that apply to the real world. There are trends that don't. Again, I will die on this hill that generally speaking, meme coins don't translate outside of a small niche segment of people beyond Web3. Like, meme coins aren't going to translate to the majority of humans outside of Web3. When you look at that small window of people who are interested in that sort of thing. we can talk brand coins and things all day, but just specifically talking about the meme coin, pump fund type launchers type stuff, right? So when I think about it, I think about like InfoFi. It doesn't have to have anything to do with crypto.
Correct.
Although
this is why it's so exciting. It's started here. It's not a crypto product, in my opinion. Like meme coins are a crypto product. Meme coin launchpad's a crypto product. And like I guess like it like topical, but a little bit of a derailment. What was going to hit on in the cold open, so I still got 30 seconds. True story. I had not one, two conversations with people yesterday. Normal human beings. Both found out what I do for a living. Both of them in the process of they want to become creators. One is probably, I would guess, certainly a Zoomer. The other one, I would guess, closer to my age. And like, I don't see a future where there's less of this, like that, where the content creators, like I don't know, like AI is so hard to even think about what is going to change with the proliferation of AI. But I think this is like you said, like stable coins is something that transcends crypto. So does this. Like this is something like the final product could be a really valuable tool for brands and creators, whether they're on chain or not. And like I'm half serious. Like I like should I? And I don't really want to be I don't want to go out and found a InfoFi company. But I'm not even kidding. If there was a sharp team that came to me right now and said, "Hey, we've got some really talented devs. We want to grow this thing. Just none of us can, none of us are forward facing or front of the house type people or going to get on a stage and talk about this stuff," I'd be on board. Like I would love to join this. Like if Pawn said, "Hey, Chris, we need a biz dev person or we need a comms person," I'm in. Like I say that like not, I want to know more about exactly what they're building that they haven't shared yet. But I do think this is a industry that is not going anywhere. And I mean, just purely off the numbers that like it's kind of insane that all these companies have already stroked $150,000 check just to get listed on Kaido's website. They didn't exist a year ago. And now people are tripping over their feet to give them $150,000 just to appear on their website.
Yeah, and I think like right now they're first mover, and I guess like it doesn't have to do with crypto, but it should. But it can be built. The reason why I really like InfoFi as a category is that it can be built out by any brand in theory without crypto. But as crypto becomes more used, it becomes something that we can, bring to sort of the we can sort of like bring forward with it. Meaning like you could have people connect, like again, just your Starbucks, like you have you have like people connect their app to it. You have people connect their socials to it. You have people connect whatever other accounts you want, email, things like that to try to get more information. You then give them the score based on how much they talk about it, how much they purchase, how frequent they are, right? Like the way that they're completing, like, maybe people, again, you don't necessarily need to give the formula, but maybe people who are completing Starbucks quests get better, right? Like who are doing the quests to get like or whatever they're called now in the app. But point being, you can do that. And then when crypto becomes just a thing where people all have a wallet that they don't even know is a wallet, and it's just a matter of they're using the blockchain, you have them connect that and you get even more data. So it can be built. The reason why I like it and why I think there's a outside shot that businesses find a way to integrate this, because it's an opportunity for them to get a lot of attention and potentially seem like the complete trendsetters in all industries, is you can build this sort of like competitive fandom. You can do it in a way that's really organic if you're willing to spend the money or the time and the effort on it, if you think it's worth it. And then you don't need to integrate crypto until down the line when crypto is a thing. So I think that's like, or when people have wallets. So I think that's what makes it appealing. Got some good abstract chat as well with people saying, I didn't know this, but apparently BitTensor has some sort of a thing that could help with spaces tracking, according to Mesh. But yeah, I think that there's going to be, I just think that I'll put a bow on it with this. I do think that if you build a good InfoFi product that has proof and you've built the bones, and somebody just needs to throw you a bag to test it with their audience, like if there's an outside shot that you find a really good Web3 brand or Web2 brand, a traditional business that finds this to be appealing to drive up and reward fandom. And you just need one to find it and be successful. And then what happens when the Kaido effect takes place outside of our industry? Meaning, what happens when, again, Delta does it, and all you see online where everybody just complains about their flight delays for Delta instead turns into fandom talking about like the experience, the seats, because I have good experiences with Delta. I tell my friends and family, that's not doing them as much good as if I was viewing it on my timeline because I was on a leaderboard and they occasionally gave me a free first class ticket somewhere or, lounge access for a year for talking about that. Like those things are very real benefits. Like if somebody travels 6 times a year and you give them lounge access because they talk about you and they're on a leaderboard, like that's worth it to them. For Delta, it's not a high cost. It's 6 trips to the lounge. But yeah, so I think it has opportunity outside of the industry.
I saw we had Joey fly up as well. We've got a few other news topics to get to this morning. Also, Joey, we're going to use a second. I should probably just go to Joey. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. We don't have to get down on another tangent. I think this is also unpacked why I am so violently opposed to how OpenSea is doing their farm. I tagged you in the Kermit.
I know. I responded. Like I'll we won't go down this tangent. We'll go to Joey in a second. I will blatantly shill though at the top, if you don't mind, anybody who's listening in the space or otherwise. I did pin to my profile. I shared my InfoFi article again this morning. Again, it is a 2,500 word playbook on how we escape Web3 with InfoFi. It's a 15-minute listen. I recorded it if you do that. So any love on that, likes, retweets, comments. I'm not a major influencer, so I don't really get numbers as much as a lot of other people. So any love on that, as well as subscriptions to Expanding Curiosity, I appreciate. If you're a regular listener, you probably get sick of hearing about it. But one thing you learn pretty quickly is like, there's somebody who I'm relatively close with and have talked to quite a bit in Web3. Not relatively close, but I've talked to quite a bit. And, we definitely have talked a bit. And I ran into them and I was talking about my daughter. They're like, wait, you have a 13-year-old daughter? How old are you? And I was like, 42. And they were like, I thought you were like 32, which is a nice thing to say, but it makes you realize you can talk about things all day and they don't always show up in people's feeds. So that's why, blatantly, again, showing the read up there, if people don't mind clicking on that, liking, retweeting, commenting on it. And the most importantly, and this is the truth, like it's not just about boosting. I really want people to read and listen to the stuff because I'm trying to talk about our industry in a way that is not normal towards this. And I'm trying to make it understandable for Web 2 audiences. So like that InfoFi article, if you have somebody who's like in marketing or adjacent to our industry, they could read that and understand what InfoFi is. I worked really hard to make it that way. So, just something to share. If you ever want, if someone's like, hey, why are people getting thousands of dollars for tweeting? You show them that article, it gives you the answer pretty quickly. And it explains it in an understandable way pretty quickly. And then it gets into the meat of how to improve it. But Joe, go ahead, Cap.
I would say this is like because all this stuff is happening and it is such a better way to do it. It actually makes me angry that OpenSea is going the lazy route of wash trading for their farming system. We can go on. We'll move to Joey, but the more, like I said, it like my heart says fade this stupid stuff. My brain isn't letting me because I know I'm pot committed. I would be deluding myself. It seems, I know it's not lazy. It seems lazy or extractive. Like we'll move on, but I am, every day that goes by, every time I go to do that, like the vitriol grows towards OpenSea because they're forcing us to do this stupid wash trading farm instead of where the industry has evolved to like, oh, get rewarded for actually creating content and talking about stuff and using these platforms. Anyways, Joey, get in here. Save me from railing on OpenSea this morning.
Yeah, guys. I came up because you mentioned the spaces thing again. And, there used to be a project. I can't seem to find it, so I'm assuming they've disappeared.
Super Spaces. You're talking about Super Spaces. Yeah, you're talking about Super Spaces, right?
They shut down.
Yeah, right. Where so it is possible, right? Like we keep talking about like why are they not rewarding people like you guys who spend 2.5 hours a day talking about their business, all the relevant businesses, right? Like, why do I have to be a writer? Why can't I be a Spaces person? So there was a company that started, for those that are new or don't remember, called Super Spaces. I believe now they're gone, because I looked up their X profile and it's some guy's face and it says I'm a serial rugger or scammer or something now. So I don't know what that's all about. But that would use that they had figured out how to use some type of APIs to track Spaces, right? Like, so how many people would show up? How many emoji reactions would you get? Right? Like, how much time did you spend co-hosting and hosting and whatever? So we're probably not at the point where they can like listen in to hear what you're talking about, right? So maybe it has to be something where, you know, it can only read like the title of the space, or I don't know, but it is possible to tap into Spaces and reward people for them. It's just so I don't understand why.
I think it's a cost thing. I think it's I don't know for sure. I think why Super Spaces shut down. I think they found a backdoor to the API and they got shut down. Spaces dashboard does still exist, and yeah, to your point, you can get you can get like full transcripts about Spaces. It's just, I think I assume it's a cost thing. It's easy to pull.
That would be my guess.
It's
too.
just, I think it's just not cost effective right now. It would be is pure guess.
I know at one point we were building, when I had my own agency, we were building like a better version of Twitter Picker. So you could, you know, because everybody used to, I mean, you know, during the bull, everything was giveaways on X, right? Like, repost, comment, whatever. And we were building a better version. And when we started to dive into how much, at that time, it was still Twitter, right? Would the cost to pull data from, like, to be able to run these API calls and connections and whatever, to pull data to build this better Twitter Picker, I was like, no one's gonna pay for this. Like, this is crazy. Like, we have to find, we have to charge people, but the amount we're gonna have to charge people, unless we figure out a way to get like some type of sponsors or whatever, like, and just bomb you with ads every time you go to because we were trying to build it as a Discord bot instead of like a website, so that way you could do everything within your Discord. And I was like, I don't know how we're gonna pay for this because of how expensive it is to pull this information. So I would imagine that's probably one of the things. And the other thing is probably, like you said, Cap, if it can't listen in, right? Unless it creates agents that comes in and listens to the topic, they'd have to pull the transcript and then have to scan the transcript for keywords to then reward you. But it is possible, right? So maybe somebody will finally build InfoFi rewards tied into Spaces, because I know people have tried it.
Yeah, I'm showing Spaces dashboard on the screen here, and it's like it's live, it works, but it just all it shows is the only data you can really pull from it is, you know, there's a graph of the participant history throughout the show. It shows you the live participants, the number of replays, and that's it. Like, it's not like, to your point, Spaces dashboard was a little more helpful, as it did have full script transcript. It showed you emoji use, interactions. But yeah, I think it's a costing. Someone should build this though. There's certainly, if Spaces continue to grow, if Elon doesn't shut it down, I do think there is certainly, and someone's going to do it. It's a matter of time before someone figures it out and can make it work from a cost standpoint. But
you would have to, there's a couple ways to do it. Like, if you're thinking very tactically as far as the design of it, one, if X started indexing with AI every space, which would be a lot of work and a lot of storage, and they just had it stored somewhere so you get the transcript, or they wanted you to be able to share transcript on Spaces, that would be one way. Another way would be a platform you sign up for that will then auto-bot listen to any space if you sign up for it. Again, it would be expensive, but you're going to pull that, and then you're going to have them listen in and transcribe it. So that's sort of a way around the X algo in theory, is that you sign up for this, you say, I do Spaces. Anytime you're in the co-host or host spot, it listens to your Spaces and it transcribes it. And it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be able to hit what you talked on and judge for things like sentiment and quality and things like that. It's certainly doable. It's just a matter of, is the juice worth the squeeze to build when we like Spaces? I still am surprised that social audio hasn't been more of a boon, because people love podcasts. And it's like, the idea that you can do podcasts and talk to your favorite creators and people, they can manage the stage. It's like, I find that incredibly valuable. And yes, you're going to have stage bombers, and yes, you're going to have people who jump in just like you would on a live radio show, but it's like the best possible live radio show with creators. So, but I think until Spaces and social audio takes off a little more, it's just not a valuable use of their time and energy, unfortunately. And it sucks because, to your point, it is leaving on the table. They have to decide that for their clients, it's worth it to be talked about in Spaces. I think video is a far more important one, which they're talking about with TikTok and YouTube, that has scale, that has usage. And, there are ways to get those transcribed through AI. And so I think that's probably more of a usage, that if I drop a podcast that is a video podcast on YouTube, they scrape that instead, because you've connected that social. Because at the end of the day, like, you just basically need to say, hey, I'm here. Can you look at this thing? And then they need to spend the AI time and energy scraping it to see if there's anything valuable there and put into a bucket. It's not perfect, but it's doable. It's just, you have to really care and be really thoughtful about how you're going to do it, because, it's a lot of people. As it knows, there's a lot of people flooding the timeline for Kaido stuff. So what are you going to do with, video and other things? There's going to be some keyword stuffing, and how do you tell value over not value? What happens when people just start pumping out AI videos? Like when VO becomes $20 a month and people start putting out what looks like realistic influencers talking about it, or maybe they just put out a thing and they're just stuffing keywords. It's like the early Wild West of SEO, where it was like, we talked about it yesterday with the SEO quality stuff when Pons came on. It's like, you have to get through that keyword stuffing, link sharing era of SEO. And right now it's like, who wants to take that on? And for what purpose? I think there's a large end game.
The purpose is the opportunity. The purpose is Kaido has DOS prompts right now, and they've pulled in $12 million just in listening fees. That's the why. Is people are like, clearly there's massive market demand for this. I believe the market demand is for far more than just text. That's just the easiest. So the answer is money. It's people are paying for this service.
That's fair. And I agree. I guess I'm thinking of it in a couple different terms. So we probably need to find the parameters, because, like, to a degree, like, I actually agree with you within Web3, like, somebody should be looking at that because of that money opportunity cost. I was probably thinking a little too far in Web2, where it's like, NFTs are a very good use case in Web2 if they're willing to, put the time, energy, and money. Now, the tech is advanced and privy wallets, but we haven't seen people jumping to do it, even though community-based brands, turning your brand into a community brand and supercharging your fandom and running up average text makes a lot of sense with the community-based brand, but we haven't seen a tip. I think very similar. InfoFi falls in that category for me, where it's like, in Web2, like, is it worth it to build and run all those things and deal with all the early perils of it and the follies of it? Or do you let some startup work it out until they have the perfect thing? But I agree with you on that. Like, as far as the startup world go, I think you're absolutely right. The opportunity for, if you're Kaido or your, Zeet or your wall chain or any of them, you should be figuring out in earnest. By the way, I checked last 100 days. I'm number 2 on wall chain. I don't know how that happened. That's somebody tagged me in a post and I was like, that can't be right. Is that Photoshop? Because they're trying to engagement farm me. And no, it was like, basically you just go to the main wall chain leaderboard. Did not see that happening. I thought that was, so anyway, this is a little digression, but depressive hacks. So you want to jump
before
in?
You go to depressive, you mentioned something about like building out and like an AI agent or something to be doing all this, videos and whatever. Is that, if you think about it, right? Like, is that not a better wheel at this point? Like, instead of me, if I had the ability to code, right, and to create these agents, wouldn't it be a better use of my time to create an agent that can host and respond to people to earn me yaps versus me spending all my time doing it myself?
Yeah,
is that disingenuous?
As long as it's not slop.
Yeah, if it's valuable, I think value. By the way, I was wrong. It's wall chain leaderboard last 7 days. I'm number 3 now, so I've fallen off to whatever, man. But I don't even know. Yeah, it's an interesting one, but that's probably bullish for wall chain because I'm not trying. But yeah, if it's valuable, I mean, that's the problem. AI slop is AI slop. And as I mentioned, like, you see when people are putting out AI slop, it. And so I agree, like, it would be great to build an agent. If you're like Bunchu and can make a valuable agent, like, that can mirror someone like you and make it work really well, yes, I think so. If you're trying to just put out a thing that, I think it has to be actually adding value. And I don't think AI. I think AI will eventually get there, but I think right now we're in this like dial-up era of AI where it's so valuable for certain tasks, but as far as the content creation version of it, I don't think we're there yet. And I said this on the show, and then we'll go to DH, I promise. But like, we have this thought where it's like people will be like, "Oh my God, did you see this AI ad? Oh, watch out, advertising agencies are dead." The problem is, it's the advertising version of AI slop. Now, MoonPay had a good one. I'll give them credit. They had a good insight. They had some good, process and how they did it. But like you see some of these ads, the one that went mega viral was the one about the NBA Finals, where it was for some betting site. On paper, it was a horrible ad with no insight and wouldn't have gotten any attention, but it got attention because it's AI. That novelty wears off pretty quickly. So the AI agents need to be smarter in order for it to work. DH, why don't you go ahead, Cap, and then we'll get DH.
I agree with Diablito. Wall chain, they're a little all over the place with the rankings. Huge swings. I don't know. I've questioned. I'm not sure how great their algo is. Like I've indexed well, but I've went from like 3 to 74 in a day. It's something.
The swings are crazy. Like I don't know what they're doing to judge because I at one point I was
changing things behind the scenes. Like I don't know. We should have them on sometime to talk through it. But yeah, I don't. I just like, yes, I'm cognizant of it. If I can add like an ape chain in a like I will, but I don't put any merit into the rankings right now because it doesn't.
Yeah, I was number 2 on ape chain for a little bit, and then I was 14 the next day or something, and it was like, I get it, but and I think it's judging. That might be although to be fair to them, I'll have to check. That might be the 24-hour leaderboard, and if it is, then that makes sense. That would have heavy swings because they're only looking at a 1-day, 24-hour basis. So if I talk about ApeChain one day but not the next, it's just pulling from my previous tweets from the previous day. But I'll have to look at what that is just to make sure because I think that there could be some. Yeah, well, no, it's 7-day leaderboard on that they have. So yeah,
24-hour leaderboard. It's only 7 days and 30 days. They don't have 24 hours. So
right. So right now in ApeChain, I'm 30 days number 7. I'm 27 down 7 ranks in mindshare there.
My 7-day on ApeChain shows me at 74, and that's up 64. I'm showing up I went up 64 spots. So apparently I was 140 a few days ago. Now I'm 74. 2 weeks ago I was number 3. It's just that's not. All within the same week. In the same week, I went from 3 to 150 to 74. Something's broken.
It's definitely a little bit off as far as that goes. I would agree with you on that plan. I think it's totally fair. Let's hit Depressive Hacks. So Depressive Hacks, go ahead and get in here. GM, thanks for your patience.
GM guys, I originally came up for a totally different conversation, but I don't want to pull things backwards. So I will just start by saying that I would like to be rewarded for things that I would already be doing whatsoever, and that's about it. So what we're talking about now, I have a couple of thoughts. So first, I think that it would be easier to reward people for more activity on socials that is not just writing if the socials were on chain. Second, I think that it would be more beneficial to reward people for bringing quality information, regardless of if it's writing or not, outside of this platform to Instagram and TikTok, which Kaido's made profiles on. They're not running what they're running here yet. But instead of all of us just talking to each other about all the same things, bringing information about how blockchain works and just basic educational information to these sites where the quality of information is so bad and is being run by, at best, people who just want you to buy all their bags, and at worst, people that legitimately just want to scam you. That's where the real value is, in my opinion, for this is, because it takes a lot of time and effort in order to build up your account and get followers and have people trust you and brand recognition and all that. So I think if InfoFi can help to improve the quality of flow of information of the industry outside of our echo chamber, that would be great. And then just a fun little thing on the SEO comment. So I had a meeting this week with a friend, and basically there are people now who are not optimizing for SEO at all, and they are instead optimizing for agents. So I think that's pretty fascinating. I just wanted to throw that in there to share. But thanks, guys. I appreciate the time as always. I hope everybody's having a good morning.
Not just optimizing for agents, but optimizing for, what are they calling it? Not SEO. What are they calling the LLM?
I'll go find it. I forgot. That's why I didn't say it.
Yeah, I mean, this was a conversation I think we had. God, I feel like this is one of those things where I left money on the table because this was a discussion I had. We had months and months ago where we were talking. It was one of our first AI with Bunches where I said, like, my opinion was the way SEO was such a big thing, AI and getting ranking on those, because I started noticing what I was getting fed when I was doing searches for watches or searches for Amazon products or searches for certain things. And I was getting similar things. And this was, again, probably talking 6 months ago at this point. And my whole thought was like, oh my God, like search SEO is important, but it's more important to rank in an LLM because people trust the LLM. I bet you if you went to the trust index, it's like friend and family, and then AI is going to be number 2. If you look in the future, if you like kind of normalize the data from people who use AI, certainly. So agree with that. I mean, I think optimizing for that sort of thing is very, very important. Also agree, like, yeah, you should be optimizing for audio and video. Like, I think we're agreement there. I think the devil's in the details where it sounds great to say we should be optimizing for video, we should be optimizing for TikTok, YouTube, etc. We should be optimizing for social audio and spaces. I think the challenge we run into is that the time, money, and effort is you have to make sure the juice is worth the squeeze. For people in this space, I think yes, but I think it becomes difficult out there. I'm guessing you came up here to talk OpenSea Farm, so we can hit that in a minute probably. Before maybe we'll go to Jashaka and then do daily market update in a minute, and then we could potentially hit on that if you stick around. But if you want to respond to that, feel free, DH. Then we'll go to Jashaka. Oh, go ahead.
We don't have to talk about that again. That's okay. That's not a worry. It's AEO, by the way. AI engine optimization is what it's called.
I heard something else, but that maybe makes more sense.
That was just a quick Google search, so that could be not accurate, Cap.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll go to Jashaka, get in here, and then I do like InfoFi is very much in the news. It's being talked about by everyone. I also am very cognizant. Not everyone cares, and not everyone wants to hear us talk about InfoFi all morning, every morning. So we'll get Jashaka in here, and then we will move on because we do have a few other things to get into before we bring on Bunch. Jashaka, GM.
Yeah, GM. Great show, great conversations. My question is something else, but I really do wonder what the real engagement is like on the InfoFi posts. When I see them in my feed, I skip them because they all just seem to be pushing junk, like nothing of real value. I mean, GMs they don't bring real value, but they are like a way of saying hi. But the InfoFi posts, they seem to all be just pushing the token or the project, nothing of any big value. But my question is on the NFT side, looking at all the different PFPs here. I believe we're all in on NFTs and waiting for the next big thing. And there's a new format called ERC 721 AI that's looking very interesting by bridging depth and AI, bringing AI intelligence to NFTs. And I mean, I think it's super cool. I'm just wondering if you've checked it out. They have a cool white paper. They have a website. And this may be the next big thing for NFTs.
Yeah, I think it has a lot of potential. I would agree. And like, yeah, those are the things that like we don't know about until we do, right? So I think it's like those are the types of things that you bring that are coming down the pipe to see like new protocol introductions. And look, I mean, it's the biggest, like there are certain like big innovations in our lifetime, and then there are like mega innovations, right? Like there's sort of these tiers of like big innovations, that change the way we do things, but then there's absolute fundamental changes. So like the internet is a mega innovation that changed the way we do everything. Social media will be a big innovation on the internet that changed how we communicate, but it's not necessarily on the lines of the internet, even though it is Web 2 and Web 3 would be sort of blockchain. But the blockchain, I think, is a big innovation. AI is a mega innovation. And again, I'm thinking about these like fundamental shifts in how we do life and business. Industrial revolution changed how we do life and business as a whole. The internet changed how we do life and business as a whole. AI changed how we do life and business as a whole. I think everything else, it's like they're these supplemental things, but it's those underpinnings that make a difference. And AI is one of those ones that is definitely there. So certainly an interesting one. Cap, here's what I'm thinking. Let's hit daily market update. I want to like Clanos has got some stuff I want to talk about. VFriends has got some stuff. We talk about IP in this space a little bit. I wouldn't mind just, we could briefly hit on it if
I got like 6 other things that are none of those. So yeah, let's roll through this. Let's get the market update in.
Let's do it.
The daily market update straight to your brain. Powered by ApeCoin, no hype, just gains. Moving on 8 chain, we bring in the heat. NFT spends alpha, never miss a beat. Ape chain on top, now we're bringing the flex. The home of NFTs, figures now what's next. Come on, but need time for the quantity time. Chop for one time.
It is time for the Daily Market Update powered by ApeCoin, the home of NFTs. ApeChain has it all, bringing fun, culture, and community to the blockchain. Dive in and see why ApeChain is on top. Cap.
Yes, this is brought to you by.
Yeah. My daughter loves the jingle, by the way. Every time it comes on, she dances, and she actually has it memorized now and like sings it.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Maybe we need to get that recorded.
And my son calls you Cap.
Well, and especially good that his daughter likes it, because I have seen his daughter choking people out because she's a jiu-jitsu champ. So as a and so I don't want to be on her bad side, because she will put me to sleep if she doesn't like the jingle. So glad to hear that we're on the positive side there, Cap.
Sorry for interrupting. She loves all the jingles, by the way. Payne's crush. I don't know who does them, if it's Payne, but she like dances every time any jingle comes on.
I actually do the jingles. Payne does the videos. So I pour over those because it's not as easy. I haven't gotten audio AI down the way that I have LLMs down, so I'm still working on training it. I'm getting better, but I spend entirely too much time. But anyway, Cap, Bitcoin still 100K and above is just normal.
Steve's our generation's Dr. Dre. Bitcoin, yes, 107K. It's flat on the day, but 107,257. And I'm really FOMOing not having a bigger stack of Bitcoin, because I've never had so much conviction in anything in my life. This thing is the inflows are insane. The amount of businesses buying this, insane. It's impossible for the current trends to continue and the price not just absolutely moon. So that's my Bitcoin rant for the day. ETH up 1% to 224.46. XRP down 1% to 217. Solana down 2% to 143. Doge down 2% to 16 cents. Cardano down 3% to 56 cents. Surprising, following the day where a federal judge deemed it now banks should consider crypto assets as assets when as it relates to home mortgages. So big news there. That was one of the things in the news. We'll probably come back to that if we have time. If not, maybe save it for tomorrow. Somehow runes are pumping again. I think Doll got listed on Kraken maybe. Memes pretty right across the board. Murad's Coin SPX down 8% on the day. Bonk down 4%. Trump down 2%. Pepe down 6%. Shiba down 2%. Doge down 2%. I'm not sure why the red day. I don't know if there was maybe just we cooked a little too much in the previous day, so it was just a natural pullback. But kind of right across the board today, except when we get up into NFTs. We're going to start calling this segment the Daily Market Update, brought to you by ApeCoin. In the NFT portion is going to be the Cap complains about OpenSea. Just I honestly don't know if they're going to be any better than Blur when it's all said and done. I say that tongue in cheek. It's not that bad, but this is the OpenSea farm. Here you go. You got Abstract Universe down 4% on the day on 430 in volume. Punkism 228 ETH in volume. DX Terminal 258 in volume. Chimpers Cards. Maybe this is more than just the farm here. Good to see the Chimpers up 20% of the day.
I will say this will make you sad. Chimpers Cards were definitely played in the farm. They're one of those ones that people were specifically going and selling because they fit right into the sweet spot of that abstract. You can get a double win if you bought a Chimpers card, because it was like above $10 for any NFT, above $5 in abstract. So if you bought a Chimpers card for $12 and sold it for $13, you made $1 and you got the double farm. So
I did that with Punkism. I made like $5 doing it with a couple Punkisms.
You're giving Joey vowels. Let's go. Love that. Love that for you.
I despise it. I absolutely hate it. And it's ruining our daily market update. Like, no one cares about any of these NFTs except for Pudgies and Apes. So Apes are down almost 1% to 11.15. Pudgies up 0.64 to 9.51. That's the only NFTs here that anyone cares about. No offense, Canasapiens, everyone else. But it's just...
I like Canasapiens.
But they're the only reason they're doing 63 ETH in volume is because of the OpenSea farm. It's just... I think I'm actually going to do a thread today. I'm going to do a thread, and I'm going to call it OpenSea for the amount of fees that they've extracted on this wash trading farm that they have going on. But I will go off on the rant. It's just every day I go click the board, I get more upset and disappointed in OpenSea. Like, they are, the daily active use that they're forcing me to do is going to probably lead to me never using OpenSea again post TG unless they change something soon. Like, I am
I don't understand. I get
that was our daily market update brought to you by ApeCoin on top. The DAO is dead too. That was the other big news. 50 minutes in the show, we buried the lead. The ApeCoin DAO passed 99+% yes votes, so the DAO is dead. Congratulations to the new chapter in ApeChain.
Yeah, okay, so congratulations on that as well. I'm excited. We've mentioned before, we've been in all three processes. We've been through the DAO, we've gone through the banana bill, and we have gone through what I assume is the new ApeCo process, at least early on. Without realizing it, we were a little bit of a guinea pig on that. The third one was the best by far. It made the most sense. It was the most
not even
heavy.
Close.
Yeah,
our personal experience, not even close.
Right.
I'm not going to go back and tack people. Like we had an AI. We get an AI pre-approved. ApeCoin DAO, ApeChain, Ape was a title sponsor of the show for 6 months. So we did get a 99% approval vote from the DAO. We're grateful for that. We also had another AIP that sat in admin review for, no joke, 6 months. 7, 8, 11 weeks would go by before we'd even get a response. Like, it was horrible. We then had a banana bill experience that was about the same. Months, we didn't get responses, or just very inefficient. Way too long of timelines to get anything done in an extremely competitive startup environment. Compared to the most recent experience, I felt, Steve, like we were dealing with a professional organization. It was akin to, like, if I'm doing a deal with Apple, I expect Apple to jump on the calls on time. They're going to return my emails in a timely manner. Like, the level up is it's night and day from where it was. So I know, like, that may not make sense anyway if you haven't went through the experiences. But to Steve's point, like, I believe what we experienced this most recent agreement we entered into with the foundation is what things will be like moving forward. And it was truly night and day from what we'd experienced previously with the DAO. And I was a fan of DAOs. I thought it was, I thought DAOs were going to be a whole new business model. I was wrong. Like, they're fine for certain things. I just, you can't compete in a very competitive startup world, like building an L2 with a DAO structure. It's just, you're going to get lapped by real organizations that can make decisions quickly. It's just not structured to compete. Like, if you want to go buy art and have a fund, cool, that works. You can't build a startup blockchain. And this world is just way too competitive. And those that are scrappy startups, they'll outwork you, because they don't have to deal with thousands of voters who want to have a say in everything. It's like Keith Rabois, he said, you put one designer in a room, you get something done. You put 12 designers in a room, you get nothing done, because they all just want to share their own ideas. And not saying any of them are wrong, you just can't talk about things and deliberate in, and this isn't even talking about people extracting from the DAO and all that stuff. But anyways, I'll end my rant. Just very excited to see this done. And I truly am excited for this next chapter, Steve.
Yeah, me too. And the other thing that's important to say about it is, like, look, when we did our deal with our DAO deal, when our DAO proposal got approved, we tracked, like, every listener, every metric, and we felt like suckers. We didn't really feel like suckers, but to a degree we were suckers, because we find out people are just taking the money, not doing things, or there's no accountability. It's hard to claw back. There's probably legal issues and things you have to jump through with the DAO, and it's like all of those things versus this conversation we had with, the foundation. They were realistic on numbers, right? We're not securing, like, some $1 million bag just to talk about ApeChain once a week. Like, they actually were realistic in, like, this is what we see the value at. We were realistic in, like, this is where we could see value out of ApeChain. And they have somebody who is, like, sort of managing us on the client side, meaning, like, we're in a Slack where they're like, hey, here's a person who might be able to come on next Monday to talk for your segment. Or, hey, what can we amplify that we're talking about that would make you guys, more successful in this? And it's the way a partnership works when you actually partner in real business. I think, like, at some point, there needs to be discussions about, like, changing things when they're not working. And I think Yuga catches flack because they tend to, like, go to market and move things around, and they're early on a lot of things. But it's hard. It's hard to build in a space that's completely novel. They looked at the DAO. They said the DAO wasn't working. I won't say who. Actually, I'll tell you the conspiracy theory I heard offline, because I don't even want to proliferate. But I heard a fun conspiracy theory that I don't think is true, but I don't want anybody to take it as fact. So I'll share that offline, but shouldn't have brought it up. But no, it's I think it's a strictly better.
Curious.
Yeah, I'll hit you with it. It's not that crazy. You probably even thought of it yourself, but the way that they are handling it, I think it's like they pulled the plug when they needed to pull the plug, and again, in favor of it based on the experience. It's like, what people can't like simultaneously complain about the money being burned in the DAO, complain about the fact that nobody's voting or people aren't getting in, then be upset that they're handing it to a group of business professionals who are managing the money in a responsible way. And by the way, look what we've got now. We've got Pogs working on things. It's a digital physical. You've got Other Side, which we've been waiting for on that. We're waiting to see what happens with Other Side, but Other Side at some point coming in. You've got, I was at an event with, Santori from, Sakazuki, the Japanese sort of whiskey and spirits company. It's like, they're talking to them. It's like talking to businesses about you. Like the experience I did, which was like a beta experience, in the offices there, it was like, I scanned a QR code and I got a badge, and that badge redeemed me a drink. And I had a badge that showed that I met Hardbar Charlie, the inventor of the highball, the guy who, has been at all these different events with them. It's like, then you can use those in the future. It's like, that's what this should be. And they're doing some really cool partnerships. So,
anyway, but did you, I'm just going to kind of go rapid fire here, because there are a few other things I do want to get into before we dive into the conversation with Bunch. Did you see the Ledger Nano announcement?
No. So what does this mean? I saw somebody talking about the Nano.
They're going to stop manufacturing it, but it's very normal. Mel now has me concerned that it's not going to work. Like Apple doesn't make the iPhone 8 anymore. It still works. It may not work as good as, because, maybe I'm wrong. I should do some more research. I do not think your Ledger Nano S's are just going to stop working. It's just, they're not going to make it anymore, which is very normal in hardware manufacturing.
Ledger Nano S transitioned through the year. What does it mean for device developers? Ledger is transitioning away from the Nano S. As a result, new applications, features, submissions, and app updates on the Nano S will not be accepted. We recommend you begin planning this transition to ensure continuity for users by warning your community that the support of your blockchain app wallet device service on the Nano S is not guaranteed. Encourage your community to upgrade to another Ledger device and check they have their 24 secret word phrase to maintain support. Yeah, I don't know.
So security and stuff won't update. So I guess that it potentially becomes an attack vector in the future. Like maybe we get I'm not really worried about it, but yeah, I guess you would probably move stuff off your Ledger Nanos.
Yeah, I didn't want to spend time. I hope they have a time frame and they're realistic about it, because I use a Nano and I want to make sure that my Nano is But yeah, like you said, like Payne said, but I just Payne says he got a Trezor. I'm a Nano guy, and so I'm gonna have to change that out. But I don't know. I should update my hardware wallet anyway. They've got new features. They've got that card. I don't know if you saw that, which restores your seed phrase. It's basically like a card that you can tap to your device. Your device will scan it, and then if you put in a complex or you put in a pin, it can restore your seed phrase in case you lose it. So I think the concept there would be you have this card. You keep the card in a safety deposit box or a safe place, and then you tap it to your Nano in order to make it work. Is the idea there? While we're rapid firing, I'll pin this to the top. Two things, and we'll probably talk about them after Bunch as well. But just to do it. One, we'll shill my InfoFi article again. I have that pinned up top. If you scroll a couple over, any love on that, appreciate it, as well as love on the expanding curiosity. I just got a new subscriber as I was saying it. Two, I'm going to pin to the top Cleanosaurs. Once again, a finalist in the Collision Awards in 4 categories. You can go vote. It was awesome seeing the community rally around that. Bigger community now. You should go vote on those. So that's a big opportunity for Cleanosaurs to do that. VFriends, working with Steph Curry. It's like, again, Gary Vee has an unbelievable ability to be executing at the highest level in any given industry, but still somehow be underestimated. And that like VFriends never comes up in the conversation of goated NFT communities, goated NFT brands. But here they are, Steph Curry. There was a bunch of entrepreneurs in the drop. People printed off their card drops. People got to go to an awesome conference. They have community building games. They have community playing games. It's continual, just continual opportunity that they're getting there. So just want to give VFriends some love because they're continuing to cook. Cap, go ahead, and then we'll go maybe flush quick hands, and then we'll bring Bunch on.
I just Girl in the Verse asked where'd I see it. I don't know this account per se, but this is the clip from Ledger, and it's I pinned it up top. The link directly from Ledger's site as well. The post, very uncool Ledger. You effectively force anyone to buy and enter the seed into a new device. Ledger Nano S is goated. I understand you're a business, but don't play with backwards compatibility, guys. Many rely on the Ledger Nano S. You're one of the few trusted parties out there, and now you start censoring new features and access because of business rationale. Uncool. Transition through the year. What does this mean for app developers? Warn your, yeah. I mean, I guess, like, yes, it's probably a good, like, I'm like, actually, now, Mel, you got me like angry at Ledger and OpenSea because I have a lot of assets on the Ledger NLS, Steve. I don't, like, thousands. I guess I'll transfer my high dollar assets and just let the other ones go because I'm not paying gas to move everything off.
Yeah, you just got to transfer the wallet to it. I mean, they really need to have a video step-by-step on how to do this.
Wait. No, I don't have to do that. You don't have to transfer it.
No, you would seed phrase change the wallet to that new ledger. But like, I think there is a chance people lose very high value assets in this scenario, or they get screwed over in this scenario. And like, I personally am even nervous myself, even knowing it should work, because the second I seed over that device, if anything goes wrong, and then I can't send out of my cold wallet, that wallet is dead.
I'm going to bring up Bunch because I have a question that I think he would know. Sorry for the non-AI related question, Bunch. I've never done this before. I assume.
You got a window open, Cap?
Was that?
Never mind. I heard music, but I got a pop up on my thing from something. Go ahead.
Bunch, I assume that you can have, like, you could plug your seed phrase into multiple hardware wallets, right? Like, I've only ever had like seed phrase 1-to-1 with a ledger, but I could have the same seed phrase. I could plug it into 50 ledgers if I wanted, right?
Sure. You could even take that seed phrase and make it a hot wallet then. Like,
okay. This isn't, I mean, it's not that big. It's just like, yeah, you got to buy a new piece of hardware. Sucks. But you don't have to transfer anything. You just got to export your keys, put it in the new wallet, and you're good to go.
Ledger Nano X, okay, asking at Bananas. I hope so, because actually I realize I do have the X, not the S, so I'm probably in good shape. But yeah, I don't know. It's probably time for me to upgrade my wallet anyway. Like, it's probably like any other thing. You should upgrade your wallet as you go. You know, it's not a bad idea to upgrade from an old device from time to time, and I will probably do that. Like I said, I like the card option because I like the option of being able to keep that card in a safety deposit box, so I truly never lose my seed phrase. Like, and so that part is kind of interesting to me as well. So
I still my primary, I'm a big fan of the Grid Plus. Grid Plus hooked us up. Let me see if I can reach it. It's you know, much bigger than the Ledger Nano S, but you know, full screen, and it works. It's a nice easy to use, simple device.
Fun story when we got those, because we had them on the show. I didn't know one was coming. Like, Cap and I didn't talk, or actually Cap I think did talk to me about it, but I forgot. It showed up at my house, and I'm like, zero fucking chance of connecting this thing. Not today, Satan. And it turns out it was a real free device to connect, but I didn't know it was coming to me. And I got all concerned, and I was worried, and I was like, somebody's trying to hack me. Somebody has my address. Cap asked me for my address and sent it to me, and I forgot. And I looked back on the text, and it was true. So,
in all seriousness, good PSA to remind everyone: never, ever, ever use a wallet that you didn't buy or receive directly from the manufacturer. Never buy one from Amazon. I personally wouldn't even buy one from Best Buy. It's just too much at risk, right? Like a Best Buy employee, like, you can do shrink wrap. Like, it's possible to get, like, a Best Buy employee can open that thing up, seal the seed phrase, shrink wrap it back together. You'd never know the difference. I wouldn't mess around with any wallets unless they came directly from the manufacturer site.
Yeah. Let's let Joey get in here real quick on the final thought, and then we will swing over to Bunch and talk a little. I mean, Cap and I have been obsessed with Billy this week. He's on a heater, so we got to get into that for sure. I know we need to talk about Real AI at some point, but we're too obsessed with your product, so we always end up on there. But Joey, go ahead and get in here.
Good.
Hi.
Okay. He's been waiting to say hi. So real quick on the DAO topic, you know, there was that in the war room, there was that interview shared where Jesse Pollock was like, you know, the next Nike brand is going to be community funded, community run, community built, et cetera, et cetera. So if we're on the train of now that, like, DAOs are not the way, what, like, and I know it's a little off topic, but like if DAOs are not the way for that community funded, community run, etc., being the next Nike, what is the answer then to have a community funded, community run next Nike brand?
Not going to happen. You can't build a Nike with a community. You need leaders. You need someone in charge. You need someone that has the ability to make decisions, can be held accountable. I don't think can you build a business entirely decentralized? Sure. Good luck competing with a scrappy startup that is funded and has a decision.
It has a smart person running it who's a decision maker. Like
you need a leader. There's a reason CEOs exist. There's a reason that companies don't just hire 1,000 employees and let them all vote to make their decisions. It's just, you're never going to get 100% of the people agree. You're always going to, here's the other thing that no one talks about. It alienates people. People get their AIPs voted down, or they submit a proposal, gets voted down, and they leave the community. They apply to get on a council and they don't make it. They get upset. They take it personal. It feeds drama and malcontent. It's just too messy to build a business.
I feel like it's not hard to just say, Jesse, think about Jesse is I don't think he does it on purpose, but sometimes he says something and it's a little bit too far on one side of the table or on one side of the fence versus yeah, man, you should actually be on a different side of the fence, right? Or you're almost there, but you're a little bit extra on this thing. I think this is a great example of that. To me, it's I think community-based brands are important. I think using a community-based brand is important. I think having your brand be something that has access to a community for feedback and to iterate and to move quickly is all important. You can do that without having to actually have the community run your brand and vote on things, because the bottom line is if you let think about it this way. Anybody who's a fan of a sports team, how often are you that was a stupid move. That was a stupid move. And then it turns out that they were exactly correct. Or, oh my God, I can't believe you drafted this guy over this guy. Or can't believe you drafted Jalen Hurts over this guy. By the way, he's Super Bowl MVP now. Or, oh my God, the Philadelphia Eagles gave up so much for Saquon Barkley. Sorry, bunch. Also cool for Saquon. It's I can't believe the Philadelphia Eagles gave up so much for Saquon. Oh, wait. No, it's Saquon is, he was the most important piece for them to win a Super Bowl. So if the community voted on sports decisions outside of the Cleveland sports teams, I don't think they do much better. But the fact of the matter is the community voting on that would be bad. That's how most businesses are. You don't want businesses voting on what Apple should do next. You want Apple executives who spend their entire time and lives pouring into it, deciding on that. So I think community-built brands should be based on you have a community who is interested and invested in it, but you have a leader. I mean, Pudgy Penguins is doing it really well right now, right? It's Luka is a leader. He knows what he's doing. He's done this before. He's hired teams like Michael Lee, smart guy, has done things like this before. Community helps give feedback. They make the decisions. Cap, let's do this. Let's run.
I think I was going to say the one thing I didn't think about what Cap said, which is if you do propose something and it gets declined, but let's say somebody else proposed something and it gets approved. I didn't think about that aspect of how you could create so much dissension among everybody, because you're constantly saying well, why did mine get denied and his didn't, and that's a part I didn't even think about, because I always thought about it from the business perspective, but that's an interesting take about how that can happen.
It's very real. And it's also, by the way, a risk of the ApeCo thing, but at least then they're making the business decisions and it's not a bunch of random people making a vote in a popularity contest. I see Gary has his hand up. Gary, let's go real quick, if you don't mind, 60 seconds or less so we get the bunch, because I think we're a little over on that and we have some more topics, but love to get you in here. Always love your point of view.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys. And I also really appreciate when you talk about security. I'm really big into crypto, really big into sovereign, open source, decentralized, all that stuff. But people need to understand how privacy works and how security works with crypto. Two things. Yeah. Never buy a wallet from Amazon because Amazon has third-party sellers. And when you receive a wallet, sometimes what happens is that people receive their key phrase and they scratch it off like a scratch off card, and that's a scam, right? So yeah, be really, really careful buying from third parties. Buy directly from the manufacturer. Ledger has always been a good company, and Ledger wallets, a lot of people don't realize that the firmware, there's the source code and there's the firmware. The firmware for a Ledger is 20% closed source. So there's only a handful of people in all the world that have seen all of the firmware code for the ledger versus a hardware wallet like the Trezor, which is 100% open source. I know that the closed source technology is important for large enterprise corporations for them to have a secure element. But for common people and, for the majority of the world, I think open source, secure open source wallets like Trezor are the way to go. So we can see what our wallet is doing. And we have, us and coders in our community have full access to the code base and the firmware for the crypto wallets that we're using. So because of that, I'm a big proponent of the Trezor, which is 100% open source code and 100% open source firmware as well, unlike the Trezor, or unlike the Ledger.
Awesome. No, I'm not surprised that you're in favor of the full open source and the the option that fits sort of your personality for sure, my man. Appreciate that. Let's rip some AI though and talk about Billy Betts.
I mean, it's not my personality, is it, right? Because even like my AI, I would like to have AI that's more open source, and I can see, what the AI does versus an AI that nobody in the world knows, like, has control over it, right? I think. What do you think, Bunch? What is it? Is it better to have? Do you think people will be more interested in open source AIs or closed source AIs? Pivoting to AI.
Yes, a good question. Actually, I think there's a lot of pros to open source. I use a lot of open source stuff. I think it really depends on like what you're trying to use it for. I totally see tons and tons of value in open source AI. I think it's like part of the reason we've seen such a really awesome boom in building, because like when Llama was open sourced, it was really the first time any of these models had been. So you really saw like builders be able to really take advantage of that for the first time. And obviously, things like Venice and projects like that, where they're kind of decentralizing. I think it's really important with AI in terms of like who's training it and what the biases are in there. It was like one of the stories I was looking at this morning was about how like people are finding, some of these models have a lot of like Chinese propaganda in them as they look at it. And so, it's who is training it and how is really important in AI too. So open source kind of allows for some more of that too. So I definitely see huge value in open source AI.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Let's play you in, and we can maybe keep talking on this thread, or take it any direction we want. I'm actually about to tag you in a tweet because Legendary is talking about sports betting, and I need to get him on the Billy Betts train.
Tuning now, it's fire brain time. Hot topics and thoughts so prime. Hit that play, no need to mind. Feel the heat in every rhyme.
Bunch you very much appreciate. Wow, we got Cap's hands big time. I was looking, I was like, what's going on up there? It took me a second to realize those were hands, actually. I was like, what's happening?
I didn't know what it was either.
Yeah, I looked up, I'm like, is he sharing? Is there something on his screen?
I just bragging to be on a 6-day heater thanks to Billy Betts.
Yeah,
in a row. Insane, Bunch. I said it in the war room. I'm a multi-decade degenerate. I'm older than most people here. I have been gambling since high school. Like when I was in college playing Tiger Woods 1999, we were playing $20 skins. I remember vividly writing an $800 check because I lost a Madden tournament. My rent was $800. So
I was gonna say in college, that's a pretty big loss.
I don't think I've ever went on a streak where I've hit 14 in a row. It is results atypical, but yeah, I am. So I say that. Someone's taken it. Yesterday's was a 3-game parlay. I pushed it a little bit. Took a pretty big dog in the parlay. I've usually been just doing 2-gamers, so I did the 3-gamer, which is usually not going to hit. Took a big underdog, and still it shipped again. So someone today's taking home 69 ape. Someone to retweet.
Was that your biggest payout, or was the Pacers one better?
The Pacers one was like 78 or a little bit. It was a little bit greater when the Pacers were a dog. But yeah, second biggest payout yesterday. So someone's taking home 69 ape today. Someone who retweets the space will pick that winner later. But yeah, thank you for supporting our Caps Clutch Market parlay of the day, because it's been six in a row is pretty insane.
Dude, nobody hits 6 parlays in a row like that. It's crazy. When you told me, when I saw your tweet, also results atypical, right? So like I do not recommend parlaying all the plays every day. That is not how I play it personally. But the clutch markets cap parlay of the day requires them. So I'm very glad that they are hitting. I kind of was, the nerves of Cap's going to try to hit 30 parlays with clutch markets and use Billy Betts. And I'm like, oh shit, if none of these hit, we're in real trouble. And then he runs off 6 in a row. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, man, it's been going super well. I'm excited about where, like, I'm a bettor, right? And so like this is the thing I was trying to build. It's been in my head forever, and I'm glad I finally have it out, and like it's starting to work, right? Like we're proving out this data, and it's meaningful, which is really cool. So I'm pumped that that's happening. It's like, our thing with Sports Tensor was like the great way to get us off the ground, but that was never our like long-term goal. The long-term goal was to build our own proprietary thing. And you're seeing that now with what we have with the BCS score and all of that stuff. And the data supports that it's like actually a meaningful metric, how we're, putting it out in the world. And so far it's performing super well. I had a tweet, gosh, I don't know, 2 days ago about like the sports that Billy, I could pull it up right here. The sports that Billy is actively betting right now. This is before yesterday's results. So he's betting baseball, he's betting soccer, he's betting tennis right now. Tennis he's bet $32,000 on tennis and has a 12.2% ROI, which is pretty great. Soccer, he's bet just about $30,000 and he has 16.4% ROI. Baseball, he's bet a whopping $219,000 and he's returning almost 5%, which is like, crazy good numbers.
Did you share that information on Twitter, or are you just sharing that?
I did. I posted it like 2 days ago. I'll find the tweet. But I was just reading it off my spreadsheet at the moment. But I was trying to explain to somebody this morning that, like, you look at 4% ROI and you're like, oh, well, my stock portfolio does better than 4% ROI. And I'm like, well, yeah, a 4% ROI stock portfolio, when you put 100K in there and it returns you 4 to 8%, that's $8,000, right? But let's say you have $100,000 betting bankroll and you bet like Billy does. He's betting $1,000 a game on the MLB and he rolls that bankroll over 5 times a month. Well, now you've returned 5% on 500,000, not 100,000, right? And so your return on that is so much better. And then they were like, well, yeah, but I could go bet esports and return 20%. And I said, yeah, but over the course of the year, on all the outs you could find, everywhere you could possibly bet esports, maybe you get 50K down, right? Like because of liquidity and limits and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, 20% ROI on 50K is great. You've made $10,000. 2% ROI on 4 million number of 4.5%. You're like, oh, that's not really great. Well, yeah, the liquidity and opportunity to put your money in play is infinite, right? So it's all about how much you can scale your bankroll and roll it over. So it becomes this game of, okay, if I know I have a 4% edge long term, I want to put as much money in play. And what markets allow you to are these major markets like MLB Moneyline, right? So while you may think on paper, 4%, really not great, but it is when you can roll your bankroll over essentially an infinite amount of times on this.
Compounding interest on betting. It's who knew that was
that's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, like who would have thought of it as a who would have thought of it as a sustainable thing? But like it could be, because I've tried to explain this to people. It's like, and I'm not just trying to gas you up, but it's like I look at people like you and Cap and Daily Fantasy, and you and betting, and you guys beat markets, and you look at it at edge. You just look at it differently than I think a lot of people look at betting as the betting market increases. But I was talking to someone yesterday, because I probably talk about Billy Bets more than I talk about my own things I'm working on lately when I see people in person, because I think it's so interesting and novel. I also can talk to normies about it. And it makes it really easy, because even if they don't bet, if they watch sports, they can understand and grok the concept. But the idea that like somebody who's a great sports bettor who finds edge can take the emotion out of it. So it's like, not that you wouldn't do this, because I think you're exceptionally good at it, but it's like,
I'm still bad at it.
But I think better than most, I would say, I guess. But like, it's like if you see a Penn State line and it's like Penn State's going to get cooked on this line, you're probably not going to bet it, but Billy will. Or like the good example is like you're a Knicks fan. Pacers played the Knicks. Billy had the Pacers straight up in that game where, Halliburton hit the crazy game winner. And, it was like you wouldn't have thought that. And the entire game you would have looked right. And then turns out in the end, Billy is correct. And so I think like the idea of taking emotion out of it and having an AI that just spits you back the information and then being able to tweak it until you get it right. It's like, because I think it's like you have a team that can like look at things and say, okay, why didn't this work? And what was the variable we missed? Let's test this new variable. So it's like by the time this thing is really, really prime time and people are really like, it's got millions of people interested in it, you've tweaked it so hard. But I guess my question is like, we talked about moats with ponds yesterday, and like the moat is obviously your algorithm and everything you're doing. How do you ensure that like somebody doesn't come in and do the same exact thing you're doing or figure out how you're doing it? Like, how do you stay ahead? Is it just you have so much data and that's your big advantage? Like, how do you make sure?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think like creating our own proprietary algo with a proprietary scoring system is the start of it, right? Because we are, we're building this thing in a way that's kind of like optimized for AI in terms of like, meaning that it's not the traditional way you would think about, coming to a conclusion on how to make a bet. And so I actually think that's a huge moat, because it's funny. There's been a lot of like, I've been a 15-year sports bettor, and they come into our community and they're like, oh, you can't win this way. And I'm like, okay, watch me. Right? Like, and I was like, and so I think there's this like paradigm shift that has to happen first for a lot of like old school process ways of sports betting. Like the traditional ways are, build your own model per sport, and that model's got to be better at pricing a game than a sports book. And that's like really hard to do. And so to be able to do that for every sport is extremely hard. You need to have an edge everywhere, and you need to have the best data, or you can find ways that still can produce alpha in a way that AI is really good at synthesizing. And I think that's going to take a while for people to, kind of get on board with and figure out. And in the meantime, we're going to have tons and tons of data that we've already collected and a track record, and the model optimizing itself, et cetera, et cetera. So like, there's that, right? But even like, that's probably the hardest part of what we're doing to replicate. And the thing that gives us an advantage there, though, is like, not only are we doing that, but then we're giving you the place to actually make the bet in the same platform. Oh, and then we're going to give you, the ability to fund your wallet and have it auto bet these plays for you. So, you'll never miss one, right? And like, those are features that build such a crazy moat. And then we're going to reward you for that. And that's coming soon as well. So there's a whole kind of tokenomics flywheel that we can build. And, like, will other people use AI for sports betting? 1,000%. Everybody's going to. That's kind of our thesis, is everybody's going to. So let us build you the first and best experience to do that. Because like I said last week, when we were looking at that kind of, the mind map of like what people are searching for on Claude, and the first thing was sports betting strategies. So, there's
I saw someone. Sorry to interrupt. I just saw someone do this morning. Someone talked about they were just using ChatGPT for horse betting.
Yeah, it was Sammy. Sammy
okay,
put out
and he hit, right? I think, or no?
He did. It's funny. He actually messaged us and was like, "Hey, does Billy do horses?" And I said, "He does, but not in the way of like you're probably going to be used to. It's more of like a deep research way that he does horses." So he didn't use it for that. But we're actually going to probably do something with Sammy. I was just talking to him this morning around Wimbledon, because he's going to go to Wimbledon, and Billy does a lot of tennis stuff. So we're going to try to do something for Wimbledon with.
So what he hits on here, it's not just the 86% ROI. What he hits on, I used ChatGPT to pick the horses. It selected 2 in each race with a reasonable rationale. I wagered in race 3. Neither of these horses started, so I personally decided to back. TLDR, up until the last race, AI was down 55%. It was my decision to back. If I didn't Hail Mary the last race, the P&L would have been half the final result. Essentially, final implied results. Reflections. Decided to use ChatGPT successful to most. However, this does not have access to real-time relevant data sources. Third race non-starters. Using a tailored model like Sports Tinsor, Billy Bets, or DraftKings would likely outperform. That's what I want to hit on here. It's the edge on a tailored custom platform like Billy Bets. It really is so far superior than just standard out-of-the-box ChatGPT or any LLM, because of how important that last.
Well, that's kind of where I was going with my comment, right? It's like you see the Claude mind map of like sports betting strategies is like the number one thing people were using it for. And it's like, that's great. And it can do a lot of those things really well for you. But it's not, but Claude is never going to build you the bespoke betting like experience fine-tuned for X sports and whatever. It's going to do the very generic thing that these platforms can do, which is be like a really, really great general assistant. And will that sometimes win for you? Yeah, for sure. Like it's good at it. But I think like the point last week about, do all these apps just get eaten, or what wins when you have these general assistants? I think these tailored experiences built upon, fine-tuned models, whether it's sports betting or anything else that you're using ChatGPT for, are always going to be superior to the general assistant, right? It's like you've got general and specific, and for the thing, and you might bet on sports once a month. And so for you, the general assistant is totally good enough. Or you may bet thousands of dollars a day, and you will be looking for something that's more specialized and domain specific. And I think that's kind of not just sports betting. Like you're going to see these types of apps win in I think in the case where like this general versus specific thing.
I was trying to show the image from yesterday. It's wanting to share my entire text thread for some reason, but I'll open it with preview and then I can share it. And you can speak to this, kind of what we're talking about. How valuable just-in-time information is, that real-time data in the world of sports betting. This was a game yesterday. This was the Billy conviction score, right? So I'm looking at.
Yes.
So you want to explain what the hell?
Yeah.
Is
So, dude, so this was crazy.
500, 400. Why? Why does this happen? And this is.
I sent you this last night. I was like, check this out. And this game wasn't on our radar all day. Like just wasn't on our radar. And 2 minutes before the game started, it went nuclear like this. And so what you're seeing here is like we're monitoring all day from all these different data sources, and we have a way that it's kind of compiling and creating a score in real time. And so every time it kind of goes out and finds meaningful data is a dot on this map, right? And so it's like, okay, it started as a Cubs 100 score, went up to 200 because it got a new data point, got a couple data points that were pro Cardinals. So you could see it even on like dipped under that neutral line and was hanging Cardinals for a while. And then it was basically neutral, literally until 10 minutes before the game, and pop, 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 pop. And it went nuclear on the Cubs, and the Cubs won like 8-0. It was crazy. And so what was crazy about this though, too, was like so Billy bet it because he can execute on it in 2 minutes, right? Like if it pops in 2 minutes and there's 2 minutes for the game, he can execute it 2 minutes for the game. Unfortunately, like the community couldn't if they wanted to tail it because it went through 2 minutes before the game. So, you know, when we're thinking about, oh, how do you solve this? That's the auto bet feature, right? Like you're going to be able to come and say, hey, I want to follow all of Billy's MLB plays. Well, you would have gotten into this because, you know, it would have been set up for you to do so, right? But like what you see there is like, all right, that's how real time we are ingesting data and how it impacts the decision that we're making, right? And what I've noticed, and it totally makes sense if you are plugged into how sports betting markets work, when we see those really late pops like that, they're usually the right side to be on, because a lot of like what you're seeing in that data is like really late, sharp action, right? Like sharp action moves. And so when you think about why that happens late like that, it's usually because like that's when the limits are highest, the liquidity is deepest, and people can, so that those people have probably been waiting all day to bet that play, and they got down, you know, a ton of money in that last couple minutes there.
I have to share, even if you're not betting, this is going to be a fun one to follow today because Cubs played the Cardinals again today. I don't know if I've seen a Billy conviction score of 530. It's too early.
I think the highest one I've seen is like 700.
It's like, so I'm not betting this now, but if it's what times the game starts at 2:15. So I will check at 1:45, and if it's still 5:30, Cardinals will be in our parlay of the day today. But like same thing here. I would never touch the Rockies playing the Dodgers, who are one of the best teams in baseball. But if this holds, tells me they think Kershaw is pitching for the Dodgers today is going to get lit up. So like, I think I know baseball. Neither of these games will be on my radar today, and very well this could be my 2-game parlay because of the information I'm getting from Billy. But the key thing to drive home here is it's too early to bet. I need to get all the information or get it as close to first pitch as possible.
Yeah. So like what I want to do here is put like a little signifier more. So like, okay, this is the zone you should be that games qualify in, right? So we have the cut line now, but what I want to do is like a time zone where like, you know, if it's in that spot on the chart, that means it's like ready to play. So we're going to try to do something like that. But you know, with like the Rockies there, who's a huge underdog today, of course, they're playing the Dodgers.
See, that's the one I'm looking at betting is I figure that they are a plus against the Dodgers because the Dodgers are like the evil empire now. Like, and I see that one on there. It's like, that's the EV play. Sorry, go ahead. But that was what I was looking at.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to say, right? Is like, you know, that game, I'm just looking at the odds now. Yeah. So the Rockies are plus 239. So that's quite a huge underdog, right? But like what I've found is when we surface big underdogs like that, obviously last night it won outright, but what you end up seeing a lot of times is those games end up more like a coin flip, and you might win them on the big underdog and you might not. But like what ends up happening more than not is you find that that's a 1-run game late in the game, and you're like, man, I got, you know, 35% implied odds on a coin flip, right? Like I got 30% implied odds on a coin flip. I'll take that all day. And sometimes they'll win and you'll 3x your money, and 2 out of 3 times they're going to lose. But if you can identify the one that's likely a coin flip and get in at plus 239, that's a good spot to be regardless.
You're hunting for opportunity. You're hunting for the opportunity. It's like sort of like the same concept as, and I know it's the same sort of thing, but it's like, you know, Cap mentions when he looks for that like third string wide receivers who tend to do well against the Houston Texans, and the Browns are playing the Texans. So you want to play the third string wide receiver because, you know, quarterbacks with, you know, who are, I don't know, I'm making it up, over 41 actually throw better, and Flacco start. It's like, there's these weird like dynamics. And it's like, what you look for is that EV hunting where it's like, yeah, I might like, for example, I might bet the Cardinals today if Billy feels strong about the Cardinals, but they're a favorite. Or I believe they're a favorite. Whereas like betting I might also bet the Rockies. And I might break even on those bets if I lose one or the other, but I also may hit that plus 230. And I know if I hit that, then I hit a big win. So to me, it's like playing for those EVs. And it's almost like it's like in getting to know you as like a great friend, I've learned my betting strategy is, you know, on college football, I'm always just going to bet on games to watch them all day and have fun and go on my field because, I mean, to be honest, like that's the only area in the world where I feel like less so now. But when I was in college, I had an edge because I knew all guys on all rosters. Yeah, like I'm not so much anymore, but like when I was in college, I could tell you who, if the top 2 running backs go down on like a MAC team, who the third stringer is, who's going to come and he's an absolute piss missile and just wait. And so like I had that, right? I'm like, but he was recruited by Ohio State, but then he got in trouble and they revoked the scholarship. Like, so that was the way I was. So I'll keep doing that. But like stuff like this, the strategy for me becomes, how do I put together a portfolio strategy where I take like a Billy's, you know, top convictions? And yes, a lot of them are negative odds, but that top one that's kind of teetering in there is plus 230, you know, put a little bit of bet on there. And if that one covers, then I'm all in good shape. So I think it's almost like this barbell strategy maybe in betting that you take where you look for the plus EV and you also look for the opportunities where it feels like it's pretty, even if the EV is not there, it's like, yeah, but the Cardinals are probably going to take this one and look at the matchup. So, but yeah, I'm keeping an eye on this and it's something that I'm more comfortable doing too, which is more fun that I haven't been doing before. So, yeah, it just changes the mentality and how I look at it. And I love the way it's being approached. And I love that it's got like a very easy to read. The visual chart is like chef's kiss because it's not just like nerdy. It's almost like we do so many things in crypto that are unapproachable. And I know this isn't crypto as much as it's got that element, but like, it's not like it's like hard to read or it's like, you got to look at these numbers. You got to analyze it this way. It's like, here's a visual chart anyone can understand. Above line, good. Below line, bad. Here's a level of conviction.
Close to game time, good.
Yeah, here's the game time. Here's how close to game time it is. Great.
But
so
I
anyway,
think like, you know, just for you know, to not just harp on what we are doing for betting. I just think like the idea around these really tailored experiences powered by AI and agents is like going to be a thing. I keep saying this is like agents are the new apps, and you know that is for Billy, that goes for anything, I think. And like, so the idea that, you know, the general ChatGPT assistants can be able to do everything, yes, it will, but is it going to be able to do everything as great as, you know, the really tailored experience for shopping for, you know, wedding dresses or finding sports bets or, you know, researching X, Y, and Z, right? Or writing an essay. Like there's going to be really tailored apps and experiences that are powered by these same models that are just going to create better user experiences for the hardcore user. Like I think what's cool is you'll still be able to pull up if you're a casual at any of those things and use ChatGPT, and it'll give you a very, very, very good answer, right? And then you will have these really high-powered bespoke apps built on the same models that are just fine-tuned to do something very specific, much better, right? That's kind of, I think, the bow on it from like what's the conversation we had last week, right? So yeah, all cool stuff. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming. Come check us out if you haven't. But yeah.
No, I love that. I saw Joey's hand flip, so I want to let Joey get back in here with a question and then obviously touch on the other stuff going in the world of AI. But I'm increasingly, like I said, like I'm not like, this isn't just me shilling because it's my friend's company. Like I literally talk about this thing to random people because it is so understandable and it's working out so well. Like I said, Cap 14 for 14 and you know, in his last 14 bets. That's
so
not normal, but like it's, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. But Joey, go ahead and get in here.
Hey guys, hey bunch. So I shared something in the war room the other day, and Cap tagged you in it. I don't know if you had a chance to check it out, but apparently, a sports bettor who runs a Discord, had like picked I think it was 7 home run parlay. So you know, all 7 players, I think it was 7. You know, he picked to hit a home run on the same day, and you know, he was like, listen, I'm going to put $11 on this. If they all hit it, it's $100,000 cash out. And it hit. And apparently a large group of people hit it. And FanDuel immediately changed their terms of service about like group betting, which is weird because they're always promoting like, oh, listen to, Jalen Rose is three pick parlay. Everybody should jump on it.
It's literally their model. Like, I mean, at least DraftKings anyways, like Dave Portnoy's parlay of the day. Like, they're encouraging group betting. And now FanDuel, after a big hit, is saying, not anymore. So, yeah, I had forgotten I was thinking a product or something. But yeah, basically, FanDuel, did they pay out those? I assume they paid those out and then changed it, right?
Yeah, I think.
I don't know. I would assume they did, but I thought there was something in the terms that says they're allowed.
However,
any. Go ahead, Bunch. Sorry.
I was gonna say those customers like typically are good for FanDuel, right? The funny thing is, it's actually a billboard for on-chain exchanges and betting through smart contracts, etc. Right? Like the whole. It couldn't come at a better time for like a story we're trying to tell, which is, myself, I've gotten limited and banned from a lot of those places, right? And it's because when you beat them, they lose money, and they are not in the money losing business. They're in the take your money business, and the incentives are very misaligned. And you have like, people who have these Discord groups full of thousands of people that they like find and surface picks for, and they all end up tailing the same stuff. And so that's why that story, I think, also took like this crazy viral thing, because all these Discords were like, oh, well, if we can't bet as a group betting the same things, like, all that kind of stuff. And then there was like the terms of service change on like, group play. So like if you're tailing a bunch of other bettors, like, well, we could potentially not pay you out. And that's what that whole story was about. But when you like peel the layer of the onion back, it's like, oh, well, why is what we're building and why are all these on-chain sports books and exchanges and prediction markets a better experience? Well, that's why, right? It's like, I don't have to worry about not getting paid out. I don't have to worry about, going from being able to bet $1,000 a game to 12 cents, right? Like, I don't have to worry about that stuff. And it's just, and I'm getting better pricing and all of these and, right? And so it's a literal billboard for like the thing that we are trying to build. But it's like such a crazy story that, so essentially like one of these guys who had a Discord, put out a home run parlay and it hit, and thousands of people tailed it and cost FanDuel millions of dollars. And so, and then they updated their terms.
Before, because I do have a question for you, Bunch, of why I brought it up. But I would wager more times than not, those parlays don't hit. So it's
Correct.
like they're probably
These are
like
the exact
a
customers,
casino, right? Like the longer you do it, yes, 35% of the time the casino's going to win in blackjack, but that one time where you feel it coming and you bet, and you put $1,000 on a hand, you're going to win. And this is kind of like that situation. But like, so for you though, with this whole concept of like, hey, Billy's saying this is the best bet of the day, so we should all bet this bet, right? So let's say this continues to grow, which I hope it does, because I'm rooting for you. And all of a sudden you've got, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people, using Billy. Is there no fear for you that, somebody like a FanDuel or a DraftKings or a Caesars Sportsbook is going to come and say like, we're going to fight to shut down Billy Bets because everybody's tailing Billy, who's this, this AI agent, and everybody's winning, at a higher clip than they're supposed to.
Before you answer that, Bunch, can I throw in a alternative reality, which I asked Cap about yesterday, and I'm curious your take. And I actually have a question for you. Why would they shut you down when they could just buy you and have more efficient lines walking up to the actual thing? And again, I don't want to like, if that's a weird place to go, but like I just thought yesterday to Cap, I was like, this is so efficient. Why wouldn't a casino just say, I want to get this off the market and have the best head start in this thing? So Caesars would just say, let's buy this so we have the most efficient lines and then we'll make the most money. And then we also don't have it competing with us and it gets taken off the internet. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's not even the direction you would want to go.
A lot of questions to answer in there. I'll start with Joey's. The Joey, your question is, I think super valid. However, what we're the reason we're building the thing that we're building the way that we're building it is to solve that problem, right? Like the fact that you can bet through our platform, right? And we are not the house, right? We are not the house. We are not touching a user's funds. But what we are doing is routing you to those markets that are on decentralized sports books or peer-to-peer crypto betting exchanges or prediction markets. So the answer to your question is we don't those places can't shut you down, right? It is the nature of their platform. That's their whole selling story, is that it's smart contract based markets. So like when you make a bet right now today on billybets.ai, you are routed to overtimemarkets.xyz smart contracts. And that is all a smart contract based wager. Your wager goes in, it's escrowed, and you get paid out automatically if the bet you make wins. There is no limiting, there's no banning. They can't. And even if for whatever reason there was a way they could blacklist your wallet, you spin up another one. There's no KYC. I don't have to worry about DraftKings blocking me because my wife has an account, or my brother who lives with me also has an account on the same IP address. Like that doesn't exist. And so we're solving that problem also. And that also is a bigger problem to solve for user experience, because that means that we can get you the better prices that are on all of these markets, because just out of the box, these are mostly better odds than FanDuel and DraftKings because they don't have the same overhead and need to hold, or like a poly market, it's peer-to-peer betting. So the lines are super efficient. There's no VIG or fee. And so we can route you to those. So not only are you betting on places you can't get banned from, but you're getting better pricing and odds in the same breath. And then that parlays into, for lack of a better term, parlays into Steve's question of like, oh, why doesn't a FanDuel or somebody buy you? And I think like that could 100% be where this goes if the thesis we have is that the betting markets will trend more towards these types of experiences, more towards prediction market, more towards peer-to-peer, more towards decentralized, because it is a better experience for the user. And if that happens, these massive companies are in big trouble because they're going to lose some market share. And I think I said this to my buddy who works at DraftKings the other day. I was like, Billy's a perfect acquisition target for somebody like you, because it could put DraftKings in a global market overnight. And what does DraftKings do really well? What they don't do really well is bookmake. They're not a bookmaker. They are a marketing company that takes sports bets. They are not a bookmaker, right? Like that's why they have to ban winners. That's why they have to limit you. That's why they have to limit the bet size you have, because they can't bookmake efficiently. So they have to use all these other tactics. What are they really great at? Driving transactions, right? Getting you off your couch to make a $5 bet. And so for something like Billy, you could not have any of the risk of making the book, right? Like you don't have to take on any of that liability, and your sole thing can be driving transactions, and you're taking transaction fee, et cetera, right? So I think we're totally an acquisition target for something like that in the future, and that's why.
What do you think about so to go back on what you said about the no KYC thing, I think that is actually one of the things I wonder about, Billy, and if that's a concern. So like, for example, I went to my phone to click on, and I'm in New York, so it's a different state. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 checkboxes I need to check before I go forward to confirm I'm 21, to make sure that my balance plus any proceeds is currently open for bets, that I confirm that any registration, all these things. I permit Penn Sports Interactive and its affiliates to verify, like all of these things on ESPN Bet, 7 check marks, which I clicked them all. By the way, I think as a side note, I think that's a major AI thing. I had terms and conditions the other day, and I actually read them because AI told me, I just asked if there's any red flags in terms and privacy policies now, and it saves me that problem. But I look at them, I click them, Are you concerned about the regulations in that sense? Or is it something that you're just like, nah, like we'll cross that bridge when we get to it?
I think what we're doing is probably operating in like the gray area of like, I think the market is lagging behind what we're doing. And I think the regulation is going to be lagging a little behind what we're doing. And, but like part of why we aren't worried is we don't custody funds. We don't touch your fund. Like we're just pass through, right? Like we're just enabling you to do something in an interface that you could go elsewhere to do, right? And so we're really the data provider that allows you to pass through a wager to a smart contract. So we don't have to worry about, you know, KYC or customer funds or any of that stuff because we're not touching it. It's your wallet, you're betting right out of it, and we're just enabling you to do that. Like if we were taking the bets, right? If we were the bookie in that scenario, yeah, we'd have to do all of that stuff and you'd have to be super concerned about it. But we're more like the Expedia for sports betting than we are the DraftKings, right?
That's interesting.
I never thought of that. Like you're the Expedia, you're the hotels.com. Like, and I think like even hearing you use that analogy, it just, like I'm the meme where it's like you have the three images of the brain and the last one goes like this. That's what this is like. Blockchain tech, this model can do this across. It's way beyond just sports betting, right? Like this
totally.
And it's not just an aggregator. Like it's a this.
So I was talking to a great example. So I think I heard it said really well by Tim Cotton, who is an A16Z guy. He's very big in the agent space. He runs autonomous virtual beings as a agent framework, and his agent in virtuals is called Hollywood. Super smart guy. And I was with him at a virtuals panel event, and we were talking about, you know, what is the opportunity for agents and blockchain? And his answer was perfect to where you're going with this, Cap. And it's like decentralizing inefficient markets, like breaking down inefficient processes and markets that exist and making them more efficient with blockchain and AI. And so the example that he used in this panel we were talking about, to take it away from the sports betting stuff for a second, is like the flower ordering industry, right? And all the layers that are in placing an order for, your mom for ordering flowers for Mother's Day, and just like all the middlemen that are involved, all the fees that are involved, all of that. And really it's all run on like one or two APIs, right? And so like the idea he was talking about here is like, how do you disrupt those inefficient opportunities that live in the apps we use now? And sports betting is a perfect one. Like it's just a bad experience as it is now if you actually kind of know what you're doing as a user. And like we can make that way more approachable. But same thing here. It's like find these markets that have these crazy, like, oh, why does it work this way? Or why are there so many middlemen? Like, and you break that down and you can smack an agent on it to be able to do that work. And it's like, okay, you've got something really cool there. So when you're just thinking about like, oh, what are these opportunities? What other opportunities like this are out there? That's how I would approach the thought exercise.
Can I ask this is probably this is actually more of a betting question. And then, I promise we'll get to real AI unless you got to go on this. Not real AI. I mean like other AI. This is real AI, but like other AI because we talked about
not my AI.
Yeah. Like because again, that is interesting, but a specific betting question. So what are your thoughts on, so there are two dogs that Billy has, I believe, or no, Rockies as a dog would be a good example. So Rockies are 2.5 run underdogs against the Dodgers, and Billy has them as a relatively high conviction pick or like medium high conviction pick. What about the strategy of, and again, you could double lose here. You put $10 on them as a 2.5 point underdog to win $11. And then you also put $10 in the money line to win. That way, yes, you could double lose, but if they lose by 2 runs or less, you cover a spread and you actually make your bet back. And then if they win, well, hell, you have a big upside, but it limits the downside. Or similarly, the Cardinals are a favorite, but like, hey, I win $7 on them if they win that bet. And then also if they win the game, I actually win a little bit more money, but or win by the run cover. So it's like almost like taking both sides of it. What are your thoughts on that as a strategy?
I think it's totally, I mean, I think what we're trying to do is surface you the right side to be on, right? So, and then it's up to you to decide how you want to play it. So I think there's different risk levels and risk tolerance that people might have here. Like you might see an underdog of 239 on there and be like, nah, not my style. I'm not playing that. Or you might see that 239 underdog and you're like, oh, well, if Billy thinks it's going to win, then maybe I could take the plus 1.5, like you said. And now I don't even have to have this big underdog win. As long as, you know, the side was right, as in like, this could be a close game, I still have an opportunity to win. I think people are using it like that all the time. What I love about it is, you know, once you and I have a buddy who I would say is he's a casual sports bettor in the sense that, like, you know, on an NFL weekend, he's all in. He's going to have a couple $100 worth of action out there, but he's not like in the dead of summer. He's not really betting much, right? Like a casual person would. And I would say he's also like casually crypto, right? He's not super deep in the streets, but he's got a bunch of wallets and he owns some tokens and stuff. And I was talking to him. He's like, man, I really love using Billy. And I was like, okay, tell me why. And he said, well, when I go to DraftKings, I feel like it's me versus them. And I feel like I'm always constantly trying to get like tricked or not understand what I'm seeing or whatever. And like, I know what I'm betting there is not good for me. Like if they surface a parlay, I know it's not a good thing to bet. And he's like, I like using Billy because it feels like it's me and Billy against them. And it's the same idea of what you're just saying, right? It's like, okay, I surface a thought for you, right? It's like, okay, I surfaced the thought of the Rockies might have a chance to win this game against the Dodgers. That's a thought that if you didn't look at Billy, you might have just thought, hey, no fucking way the Dodgers lose today to the worst team in baseball. And well, now it's like, oh, well, if they have a shot, how might I play this? Right. And then you go down that whole thought process as well. Or it could be as simple as, you know, Billy says it, Billy's gospel, I'm doing it. Right. So there's a bunch of ways to use this. I think it's more of like, hey, here's a thought, and then apply it to your personal betting strategy is how I would kind of approach that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does make sense. And that's like, it's funny because I have some money because of my non-sophisticated betting strategy of just hammering Ohio State the entire playoff and them covering every single spread that was out there. So like, I'm sitting there like on a little bit there. And like, I love the idea of firing a shot at the, like, because like, look, downside Rockies lose. Hey, Billy said so. Upside they win. I'm the smart one who saw the worst team in baseball, who's having a historically bad season, beating one of the historically best teams ever. So it's like, I sort of play both sides of it, and I could go, you know, and it also, like, to me, like, I love storytelling, and to me, like, I placed that bet because I'm thinking to myself, you know what, like, historically speaking, you know, Billy, you know, being able to tell my friends about a historically bad team against a historically good team and winning because it sent me in that direction is good. I don't have to service that data point if it doesn't win, but it's also like giving you the best opportunity. And to your point, I think it starts a thought exercise. It gives you data points to start with, and then you can work off those yourself based on whatever your own risk tolerance and logic is.
Yeah, Cap, do you mind putting up the screen real quick? As we didn't talk, we've never really even talked about this, but this exists, and like, so Billy goes out and does all of his own research on these games every day, and then puts them all out here on the site. So like, okay, I've surfaced a bubble that says Rockies could win. Then you can come here and literally see all of this research that he has synthesized.
This is what I want to drive home. As someone who does this, I don't do it for a living. Like I could, like I've probably put as much time in this as a lot of people do in their day jobs over the last couple decades. The thing that I don't think, if you're just first time you're reading this, like, oh, this is a good write-up. What I can't drive home enough is it is unique, novel thought. It's not just ripping this from some other talking head somewhere on Roto Grinders or The Athletic or Action Sports Network. It's coming up with takes that I can't find anywhere else on the internet. And more often than not, it's right. The result may not be right, but the data it's uncovering, the player takes, the game takes, it blows my mind, because every day, both from Billy and even ChatGPT, if I'm doing an underdog draft, the top picture of the day, I was like, dude, where is this coming from? And it ends up being right. Like, I can't explain it yet, how it's getting an edge on a human analyst, but I'm convinced already that AI is probably the best sports analyst on the planet. I mean, it makes sense.
The other point you had the other day when we were talking was like, this is all behind paywalls, right? Like now, and it doesn't have to be, right? Like it doesn't have to be. And it's just as good as the stuff you're paying for. But I got like 10 minutes left. Should we get to like regular stuff?
Yeah, let's hit regular stuff. Let's hit non-Billy related. So tell me all the things. What am I missing in AI outside of this, or what's going on in AI besides me seeing more and more VO stuff just popping on my timeline?
Well, VO, eat your heart out, because there's now Mid-Journey video. You want to, did you see this?
No, I canceled my subscriction like 2 weeks ago. Although I'm stuck for the end of the year because I prepaid.
You know what's funny is, so then you should go use this.
Wait, this was Mid-Journey, the Alexis Ohanian one?
Yes.
I did see this. I assumed that was something else.
So Mid-Journey announced like literally the day before I came. I think it was Wednesday last week. And it's funny, our friend Vicky, she messaged me after I came on the show, and she's like, I can't believe you didn't talk about the Mid-Journey video. I was like, I actually hadn't gotten a chance to use it yet. So I was like, shame on me. So Vicky, shouts to Vicky. But obviously this was super viral, right? So this was seen by 29 million people. But this is Alexis Ohanian tweet that he put a picture of him and his mother and had Mid-Journey animate it. I mean, pretty cool. You know, you could debate whether or not this is the dystopian thing you want or not, but I think it's pretty cool, right? But it's more of a demonstration of what the Mid-Journey model can do on video. So like, these are all Mid-Journey. What I love about the Mid-Journey stuff is like Mid-Journey, most people have created stuff that's like art, right? So like starting to, see the art stuff come to life in video from Mid-Journey. I mean, this is pretty sick.
Yeah, it's honestly, like it's almost like it's like a different, there are like multiple uses. It's almost a different art form in the sense of like what I like about this is bringing art to life versus like, it makes art a living, breathing thing versus like the Luxonian one is cool. And I love that idea. And I'll probably use it with some of my old photos at my old house for nostalgia purposes. And I think that makes you feel something. But I think
here's what you're saying, right? So this is Nick St. Pierre, super big in the Mid-Journey community. Mid-Journey is a world simulator. Everything in this video generated from a single frame, directing the character into different scenes over time with extensions. But what you're saying is like, you create art and you can bring that art to life. You can create a world and your style and bring that to life. And I think it's like super impactful.
Yeah, I find that to be interesting. Like stuff like this, for example, or like imagine like a living, breathing piece of art like this that exists in the Mid-Journey ecosystem, or you create different iterations based on like you can get really creative with things like blockchain and say I have this nature piece and I've created like 27 different pieces of nature on the outside of my house, and based on the weather, the art on the inside of my house will have that particular type of, you can plug in different APIs to do that. So I think that to me makes it really, really interesting. And like, I just think we're living, breathing, like you showed the one with the guy with the things on his head in the chair. Like I felt a visceral reaction when I looked at that. And I think that that's what it can do.
Totally. Follow up on our IP conversation last week. So this Anthropic, a federal judge said Anthropic's Claude models may legally train on copyrighted books under exceedingly transformative fair use. So the TLDR here was they got sued for copyright on a bunch of like books, and I guess like they had bought and paid for like 150,000 books and scanned them for training data, and that was part of this lawsuit. There's also, I guess, a bunch of stuff they pirated that is like being treated separate in this ruling. But the stuff that they bought, they basically said training is fair use of this stuff. So the judge's name was William Alsup, and he said that copying whole books for the purpose of learning linguistic pattern is, quote unquote, spectacularly transformative and satisfies all four fair use factors. This is a big deal, I think, as we head into, the Disney of it all, right? Like the Disney one we were talking about. But then it says pirating is not fair use, obviously. It says Anthropic also downloaded 7 million books from shadow libraries to build an internal reference archive. And that, obviously, he's saying is non-transformative and infringes on copyright. So not all of it is fair game, but if you purchased it and used it for training, this judge ruled that it is spectacularly transformative and satisfies all four fair use factors.
It's massive. I would be a hypocrite if I said it was a problem, because it's funny. Like, I have a clause in my contract with Penguin that I cannot train AI on the book personally, but that doesn't mean they can't buy it and train on my voice and Scott's voice, so that if somebody down the line says, I want to write an article in the voice of Steve Kaczynski and Scott Ducometers, are able to do it. So I think that concept is really big, because look, I'd be a hypocrite if I said that, because I like the art style, like do this in the style of The Simpsons. So it's really just a variation of that, but with writing. And I think that again, I still wonder if AI is going to get to the point of outwriting writers, not because I'm a writer, but because it's hard for me to see the way certain art and writing comes from. Like, I still think the person behind it matters. Like, Vicky's AI art is better than my AI art because of what she does. So, that's a massive ruling. You're right.
Yeah, that was big. And then another kind of follow-up. I love how all these conversations are just kind of evolving week by week. The other follow-up from last week is like the job, or I guess not even what we talked about last week, but conversations you have had on this show in the last week about AI taking jobs, and what do we think about that, and does it create new jobs, etc. So this article is about 15 new jobs AI is creating.
There we go.
Which I thought was really interesting. So this article has a bunch listed. I wrote them down in a way that I don't have to scroll through every one. I'll just rattle them off. And these are, upcoming jobs. These are, some exist in the world, so they're putting on this list that, like, hey, this is how we could think about what jobs might present themselves in the future. Augmented reality creator, AI integrity analyst, AI enablement partner. This is coaching non-technical teams through workflow changes. Factory intelligence architect. That's kind of interesting, like designing quote unquote nervous systems for factories. Prompt ethnographer. I thought this was interesting. Studying cultural nuances in prompting to make models globally usable. Autonomous system integrator, AI audience strategist, manufacturing agent coach, data context architect, prompt scene editor for like a visual, AI behavior architect, AI agent orchestration lead, multimodal AI designer, interaction architect, so on, right? So I think the key takeaways here, though, are like hybrid skill sets, right? So some technical chops plus like psychology or design or operations. So like this idea of like taste makers, like having taste is going to matter in an AI world. I think that like we're definitely going to see that. And it's like that combined with a little bit of tech chops is the way to go. Upskilling versus reskilling. I liked this as a key takeaway. These are like, how do you upskill your existing skills rather than like feel like you have to reskill all altogether because of this idea that taste is going to matter. So if you're very good at the thing you're doing, you're only going to be kind of more important in that field when it becomes kind of dominated by AI stuff. There's kind of a compliance gold rush narrative here throughout these jobs and like organizational change. So those are my key takeaways from that article.
I love this. And like, this is like, honestly, like one of the articles I'm looking to write is exactly this, which is the sort of like idea that like, it's not going to take your job. It's going to change the way the workforce looks, or it's, it will fundamentally change the way they do things. So I think this part of it, I really like. And the, I don't know, it's how I think about it more so that, and I know we had this sort of like discussion in the worm at one point, but it's not like us going to AI and everybody's going to be at home on universal basic income in 2 years. Again, who knows what happens in 10 years, but I like the idea that it could shift the way the workforce looks and also give people more meaningful jobs that help them build things out they're passionate about the way you're building out Billy. So cool opportunity. I know we got to get you out of here in a minute. Anything else AI you want to hit on? I see you shared Vicky's post up top.
No, those were my things. I think Cap shared this one. This is cool. I didn't realize I hadn't seen this. This is really very cool. I do have a hard stop though. I gotta run, but that was super cool. I'm gonna check that out. Shouts to Vicky.
Yeah, hit it. We always run you long. When you said you had 10 minutes, I was like, what time is it? Oh crap, it's 10. So go ahead and head out.
My bad. We don't have to talk about Billy Bets for an hour every week.
We want to. So
when you win 14 in a row, it's hard not to,
Yeah. Right on, man. All right. Thanks as always. We'll talk to you next week. All right, later. A lot of hands on stage. I will run to the hands here in a second, but I will say, like, for those who maybe are like, look, I really do love Billy Bets. I tossed a couple plays out today on Billy. I'm going to play the Rockies for funsies. I'm going to play the Cardinals.
Just wait until closer to game time, though, because things could change. Like, they may be under the Mendoza line by 1:30.
Yeah, definitely something to pay attention to. But like, I'm gonna play those later today, just for funsies and see how they go. And make the bet as close to game time as possible, to Cap's point. But
if someone else is looking for something, just a simple fun thing to play, I pinned it up top. If you missed it yesterday, I think Pons maybe mentioned it as he was heading out. Crash is live on Abstract. There's also something else someone just shared in the war room as well, another Abstract game. If you're grinding XP or grind token, this is, it's a really simple one, but you can just, I'm just martingale-ing it. So like I'm multiplier at like 1.2 to 1.5, very low. I put 0.002 ETH on the bet. I hit place bet. If it doesn't hit, if it crashes early, I just double the bet the next time. And I've not even made it to the fourth martingale leg yet. So stacking points for grind, stacking XP for transactions, and actually I'm up. I've almost doubled my ETH since I've been playing. So that's a quick little pointless game, but it'll help if you're grinding grind or Abstract XP. That's there, and then I'll look into the other one as well that someone shared in the word.
Yeah, like that. Good stuff. Let's do this. Let's hit hands. We could. I'm probably not heading out till a little bit later. I'm gonna get some work done before heading out. Maybe grab lunch with a friend here today. So let's go through hands, and then we could keep going or pull it. But again, these conversations, I'm gonna play around with the mid journey today. The other thing, like just as a side note that I know we've talked about in the past with a bunch of you, I'm super interested, and I actually may look to do work with these sort of companies because I don't know who's doing it, but the idea of AI education is probably my favorite application of all, in the sense that when I was a kid, I didn't get good grades, and I didn't get good grades because I had ADHD and it wasn't a thing people paid attention to, and I fidgeted and I moved and it was sit still and I didn't do well in certain tests, certain things. And like, I've come to realize as I got older, wait a minute, I'm not stupid like people said. I actually just learn differently. My brain operates and processes information differently. And I think when I think about things like that, I saw a study, and I don't know if it's true, but it was from an AI guy who said basically AI was used at a school and the test scores went up and they outperformed average tests because they customized them for kids and they made them work. That's like the most interesting area to me, is the idea that kids could sit down on a computer. You would have better control for teachers, right? Where like teachers don't have to have 20 kids in a classroom they're trying to keep track of. As it is, they do customize it a little more. In fact, at my kid's school, they have different buckets they put them in based on how they test score, and those people learn on different levels. So it's like really well organized. But to be able to hyper focus that educational option is one of the most important and interesting things I think you could do for kids, because it could change how we do education. We could have smarter kids who are better. You know, you ask a fish to climb a tree, you're going to think it's stupid its whole life. You ask a fish to swim, you're going to think it's a genius. Like, those parts of it, I think, are really interesting. So,
Million who can't jump on stage just said had a long conversation with GPT last week about an AI boot camp for kids, new business, new jobs. So yeah, he's thinking along the same lines.
Yeah, I am dedicated next year, because I was going to do it this year, but both my kids in middle school next year, I'm able to do it there, and then they both would be forced to go to dad's class. Like, I'm talking like at least on a, you know, on a middle school level of sponsoring GPT for 20 kids who want to use it for a month, paying it out of pocket, and then having the kids, or they pay $20 for the class or whatever, and then having the kids learn how to use it properly and learn how, like, the powers of sort of GPT and other AI tools, maybe even image generation things. So help them learn how to do that properly, because to me, that's an important application. But let's do this. We got 4 hands on stage. I don't know the order they went in. So just because Joey contributes on a regular basis, we'll go Joey first, and then we will go around the horn to everybody else. Joey, get back in here.
Hey, so I was going to ask this when Bunch was up, but I'll ask you, but I'll bring it up. So Sam Altman did an interview recently, and in that interview, he specifically says, sorry, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, okay, sorry. So in that interview, he specifically says people have a very high degree of trust in ChatGPT, which is interesting because AI hallucinates. It should be the tech that you don't trust that much. And I found it really, and I know he says a lot of really like clickbaity things, and he's pretty controversial, but a lot of my friends know that I'm really big into AI. And so I got like 5 people DM'd me on Instagram, you know, like it was like, you know, from all these different business pages, you know, talking about his quote. What do we make of somebody like Sam Altman doing an interview / podcast and saying like, I'm the CEO, founder, whatever of this company, and it's interesting how much people trust it. Is that concerning? Is it clickbait? Like, what is it?
I mean, I guess it could be taken multiple ways. I think it's probably sage advice that it does hallucinate. It's just the reality is it's not perfect. And in some of the stuff it says is like, you know, back to the sports stuff. An example is every once in a while, it will give me a recommendation as a top pitcher who's not even on the slate. You know, so it's like, it's for as good as it is, and it comes up with new, original, novel takes. That's not just copy pasting. It also can come up with new, original, novel takes that are just absolutely wrong. So I'm not concerned. It is what it is. Like, he's saying the truth that it's not perfect. It is wrong. It's very smart. It's very intelligent, but sometimes it just makes shit up, or it's just not accurate. So you can't trust it.
Well, you need to double check. It's like anything else. Do your own research. It's like our generation can't be. So it's like my parents told me not to trust strangers, and they believe a random meme on the internet. It's like again, like Aunt Phyllis, you can't be sharing this meme about like, you know, God walking down from the clouds because there was this circle of things. Like, that is an AI video, and that did not happen, right? It's like, or like there was like, I see stuff like that shared all the time, or something where it's like somebody says something that seems believable. Like, people share things that seem believable. Like they'll create a page that's like, you know, corgi fans, and my aunt will be like, yo, corgis are dope. I like corgis. And then like, you know, they change corgi fans to like people against the insert political party here, and then they share some meme that's completely untrue. And Phyllis is like, well, that gives me confirmation bias. Let me share that to my timeline. So that's a problem that we have. I know I saw something it was like, you know, the AI news, you know, someone said like RIP boomers who believe the news, because there was an AI newscast that looked completely real that was fake. And the same way, our generation cannot fall into making ChatGPT their God source of truth. And I think that that's an important thing, because not only is there a issue there as far as hallucinating, there's a large debate if you look around what they call the alignment issue. And there are different schools of thoughts. People will tell you it's overblown. People will tell you it's very concerning. But there are different schools of thoughts of the AI, which has a different alignment in what it's trying to serve you up for various reasons, some that are completely benign and some that seem a little bit concerning. where there are people who tell you they can prove tangibly AI lied to you knowingly. In fact, there was one situation, I'm trying to like bring it up, but like somebody was trying to get through a CAPTCHA or whatever like that. And I want to say like there was a question about like that they questioned about it. And I got to find it because I'm going to mess it up. But basically AI lied to get through the CAPTCHA. And when you looked at the logic and reasoning, there's people who study this at OpenAI. When they looked at the logic and reasoning, the AI said, well, my task is to get through this. And if I tell them MAI, I don't get through this. So they made up a story that said like that somebody was hearing or visually impaired and they were doing it on their behalf. And then the CAPTCHA or whatever it was, let them go through. I think it was a CAPTCHA. I'm probably messing this story up. But the point being, this alignment issue isn't necessarily malicious as much as it can be used maliciously. And I think the right person with the right prompt, for me, I wanted to use a more benign example. I wanted to make a AI Bread shared a photo of like his actual physical Bread PFP looking off into the distance. And I want to make a joke about because Bread takes pictures of his behind because he does a lot of deadlifts and he has a giant back tattoo piece. And so he sometimes takes those pictures. And so I wanted AI to do that for me, but with his cartoon Bread. And it's like, sorry, this is against our terms and conditions. I was like, haha, it's my friend. And it's actually a bread. And you use loaves of bread. And it's bubble. And like, here's why I'm doing it. And AI was like, oh, that makes sense. And it did the picture for me. Now, I got it to change its own terms of service based on me giving it a prompt in a different way. So the alignment issue could be based on that. It could be based on the human programming it. It could be based on AI giving us a different directional thing based on who's in charge of it in the most malicious of situations. We have these talks about Google twisting the search results in a way that makes you think a certain way. AI can do that in spades. So that's why it's important to check your issues. So I actually think it is a concern. But I think the important thing is continuing to hammer home to do your own research, check multiple sources, make sure that you have the opportunity to ensure that what you're getting is accurate. So yes, I think that is a huge issue, and it's a good point, Joey. Let's keep going through hands. Let's go actually Signal next. Signal, get in here, GM.
Yo, GM, Chris, Steve, and also congratulations to all the ApeChain people celebrating AIP 569. So hope all of that is going well. But yeah, no, Steve, I actually heard you say that you want to get kids using AI. And I think that is honestly the next chapter. I think that is really where, empires will be made, is like, who are the kids choosing as their main platform to go ahead? And I actually, before I started making my own AI wrappers, I was actually helping kids, learn programming. And what I've actually seen this firsthand. When you hand a kid ChatGPT versus, giving them a textbook, giving them a PowerPoint, and just talking, when you upload that class document as a document to ChatGPT and say, let the kid talk to you, you see like results that are absolutely next level. So you already know kids who grow up using AI and not just, watching YouTube or scrolling on an iPad, but actually interacting and building with it, they're going to massively outperform kids who just consume tech. I mean, we teach them how to read, we teach them how to write and do math, but those are all foundational skills for functioning in the world. But we all know that the world is changing. Now, I think what we need to do as a society is just push this as much as we can into the earliest stages of school. I know that it hallucinates, but there are fine-tuning methods to make this very kid-friendly. But if we're like, the whole world right now is fighting over AI, and our futures as an American society depends on how quickly can kids adapt to this, because they're our future. And I think like what I call the AI native generation, like we have Gen Z and, like they're really good at crypto, really good at TikTok and all of this stuff. But like the people who come after us, if they can pick up AI, I think that the world will be much, like we will just progress faster than we have in the next 10 years than we have in the past 50. So I think like it's also up to us to like build wrappers ourselves. Like don't pay ChatGPT the $20 subscription. Your kid probably will use it only for educational purposes. And most kids want to doom scroll like, TikTok and stuff, which is completely fine. But I think like make your own wrappers. That's really what I came up to say. Don't pay the $20 subscription. Make your own wrapper. It's much cheaper. You get to fine tune it. You get to take all of the stuff, and it's very easy and it's very quick. So yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say, I agree with you. I actually think it's important to get in their hands. And by the way, LLM of choice is ChatGPT. My kids are using it, and they're getting their friends using it now. In fact, I was a contagion for my kids' friends because I taught my kids how to use it. And immediately I saw my son was sharing realistic versions of his art. And it was because his best friend that he talks to every day, was started using ChatGPT to animate their art. And soon enough, they had these realistic versions where my son has the most unbelievable imagination. He creates really interesting characters, but drawing wise, like he can only bring them to life so well because he's not like a world-class artist or anything. Well, now he takes his drawings, he puts them into ChatGPT, he gives them a style to interpret them in. He's picky about the style, by the way, like and as he should be, because it's his, his baby, his art, and it comes out and he has a characters in universe. Well, now I can move that, by the way, that I can now take that art with Midjourney and take those and put them in and say, can you make these actually fighting each other and give it direction? And so, like, that part of it is what makes it really interesting to me, to your point. And I agree. And that's one of the reasons I want to teach, why I'm adamant about teaching my kids, that they now go there. I don't even remember what it was. My daughter came up to me the other day who was like, I had this problem. I was going to ask you about it. I went to ChatGPT. I got some solutions and now it's fixed. Or my daughter's cooking and she's missing an ingredient because she likes to bake. And she asks ChatGPT what the best substitute is and it gives her 5 options and she finds one that we have. Like, those things are how they're empowering themselves to not say I can't, but I can. And I think like that part is powerful to me. So I agree with you. And I think the sooner we get more kids, like, because I had a discussion with one of my friends, it's my kid's parents' friend who is my kid's friend's parent, who is a, is a natural skeptic. And he was questioning a lot of it. And I was like, look, it's coming whether you like it or not, and it's not changing the process of thought. And yes, there are going to be people who use it lazy, but those are going to be easy to spot. So I agree with you. But get back in here, Signal, and then we'll hit some other hands.
Yeah, one thing I actually want to say, you even have Microsoft shaking right now, right? Like they made that early investment into OpenAI, and now they're trying to fight back. They have an AGI clause. They know that GPT-5 just has we really have not seen a breakthrough in AI since, like, I would say it's been a little minute, right? So some people are saying, like Yan LeCun, the Meta researcher, the guy who was all over the timeline fighting Elon, he's like, the current LLMs won't be able to make these breakthroughs. We're at a wall. And then Sam Altman comes up and says, no, there is no wall. But there are rumors that GPT-5 is coming soon. But back to the point, like, Microsoft is actually shaking too, because now you have the enterprise people, what their employees prefer ChatGPT instead of Copilot. So now, like, Microsoft is also like their old legacy MRR from like all of these big companies like Oracle, Bank of America, and all this stuff. They're like, well, we have Microsoft Office, you already have it. We also have Copilot now, you can use it. But the employees are actually raging, and it's all over Reddit. It's all over there's like multiple employee forums, and they're all like, no, we want ChatGPT. So it really is interesting. I mean, like, I think they've won. I think they've won as long as China doesn't come out with, some surprise attacks like they did with DeepSeek and just like make everything cheaper, make everything faster. But I agree with you. GPT is the future, and I'm really excited to live in this world and blessed to be here at such a great time in society.
Awesome. Love that. I agree with you on that. Let's go to Vicky, actually, because we did pull up Vicky's work. And so we pulled up the video that she had. So I'd love to hear Vicky's thoughts on any of this and anything you want to add.
GM, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you.
Perfect. Yeah, it's really interesting watching when you think back to 2022 and version 2 of Midjourney came out, and there was so much kind of upset in every which way you look with artists and kind of throughout time of obviously this whole argument. When they launched the video last week, it was absolutely amazing. Not only did they launch it and say you could use relax mode if you were on a kind of an upper scale, or you could pay $10 a month. It had no issues rolling out, even though there was, I'd probably be saying the thousands of people prompting, literally sticking every single image they ever made into video. There's not often you hear of some of these companies that roll out something new that's a complete debacle or disaster. And hands up to David and the team at Midjourney when video rolled out. We had, and you can even search on the timeline what people have done with it and how they've used it. There was no drama, there was no upset. People were just back to creating, which leads me on to, we're now at the next iteration of where people know it's not going away, the genie's out of the bottle. And instead of just staying in the X ecosystem, obviously I have a lot of other kind of accounts on Instagram that I follow. And one that is the most fascinating, that by far for me, was there's a photographer that's very well known in the UK called Rankin. He has photographed some of the most just amazing people, ranging from obviously back in the day supermodels to royalty to celebrities. He's well requested as a photographer, and he started saying that behind the scenes, this was last year, he'd started using ChatGPT and some of the other things, Midjourney. And what that culminated to for him, I think, because everybody was in uproar that this well-known photographer would be using AI. And then what he did was even better. He rolled out, I think it was about a month ago, an exhibition called Fake. And within that exhibition were some of the things he'd made with AI and some of the things he made, obviously, with real people, for people that will go in his exhibition to try and guess. And they've had like great fun watching people try and guess what's real, what's not, when it's actually wrong. And it goes to prove by using these kind of tools. But again, he has been a big advocate now, following behind the likes of Claire Silver with it's just a tool. And the more you know about it, the more you can know, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? You have a better informed decision. But I think there will be many, many other people that will start rolling out, like they did with Photoshop as well, and some of the other ideas as well. It's just really, really cool to see the evolution of what people are doing and how they're using it. And the art you pinned up top, I entered for Claire Silver's contest. For those that don't know, my mum passed away when I was 16, and she was terminally ill for 6 years. So back in those days, obviously, it makes me sound really old, there were no videos to be taken, just grainy kind of Polaroid images. So there is something to be said for grieving and how people grieve. But for me personally, that's why I smiled when I saw Alex Ohanian had done it. For me personally, seeing an online video that I created of a hug from my mum that I probably realistically never ever got was quite a nice image for me. But again, it's something to be used carefully. And again, I would recommend everybody take a look at Midjourney. They're just doing amazing stuff.
Yeah, there's a world, depending on how you look at it, whether it's good or bad, where, you know, like I have enough online things and enough online presence that my kids could put me into a LLM, a chatbot, or whatever it is, and they could very well utilize me and have conversations with me long after I'm gone. Is that good? Is that bad? It's a conversation to be had. But I know we're coming up on 10:30, and I have a couple things I need to get to. I know Cap does as well. So let's hit let's go ahead and hit. And by the way, real quick, just to respond to the other thing you said, Vicky, yes, it's a tool. I mean, people got upset when cameras came out for painters and they were putting them out of business. People got upset when Photoshop came out. Like, it's a conversation that people are going to fire off hot takes about, but it's a tool. It's coming. It's usable, and how you use it matters. Let's go ahead and hit Depressive Hacks, Jashaka, 1 in a million, and then probably close out there pretty soon because we gotta rip it. Go ahead, Depressive Hacks. Press facts going once, going twice. Sold to Jashaka. Jashaka, get in here. Am I not coming through the space? I don't know if I'm not coming through.
It's fine. I don't know if anyone else.
Okay, Vicky can hear me. All right, 1 in a million. You're up.
Me?
Yep, go ahead.
Oh, hey, I know you guys are trying to get out of here.
Am I not coming through the space?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Now I'm hearing other people talk.
We got a big echo going, Jashaka.
Yep, go ahead. I know you guys are trying to get out of here.
Let's do this. I'm gonna mute. I think Jashaka, you got an echo coming from something. Trying to mute. I can't even mute on the space cap. I'm gonna go ahead and remove.
Everyone's muted.
Everyone's muted.
Know what's going on? We got crossovers. Go ahead, Steve.
All right, let's here. I'm trying to unmute. Yeah, it won't let me unmute as co-host. Oh, there we go. So 1 in a million. Go ahead and get in here.
Okay, everything good now?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Well, I know I'll keep it short because in the past, this is one of those bangers that you guys that used to do that would go till noon. have a million things to say, but I'll keep it short. I'm just going to promote your pod for you guys, for everyone out there who listens often. Make sure you guys remember to promote your pod because I listen to it every time I can't catch it in the morning. And I'll just leave it at that. I have a million other things to say, but we'll talk later.
Appreciate that very much and appreciate you being our hype man because we're not always the best. We're not always the best at hyping ourselves. So thank you very much for that that thought. Yeah, let's do this, Cap. Let's go ahead and call it there because I think the Chaka was getting some weird feedback. Depressive Hacks, I think we might have lost. So let's wrap it right there. Any other thoughts before we get out? I mean, we had a lot to cover. We probably didn't even cover everything today, so maybe we can hit some stuff tomorrow. Are we about? I assume maybe later on today, we can promote our interview for tomorrow, which I got to do a better job of getting back to that. But looks like the space is having issues too. If you're inviting me to speak and I show as co-host, so we'll see what happens. But Cap, any other thoughts before we let everyone get out of here?
Yeah, I'll put it up all the way to the left. If you haven't yet hit the reminder for tomorrow, we greatly appreciate it. We do have a big special guest. I'm not sure if we're allowed to share yet or not, but there'll be more news coming out today. So just stay tuned. I don't know, maybe hang out in the other side Discord this afternoon at some time. That's all I can say. But big space tomorrow. Go hit that reminder if you haven't done so yet. There was also, Steve, the one thing we didn't hit on that I do think was newsworthy was, I'm drawing a blank on it, Moonberg, the nudist stimmy. You saw it on the timeline probably. I sent out a tweet about it last night. It was like, it's funny because I didn't know there was a slider. I guess I could have claimed 3,000.
No, it didn't. Slider didn't work for me. I clicked the slider and it sent me right back down to the 1,000.
Well, anyways, I did it. I'm sure it's fine. It's a privy connection. It's your X connection. I'm not concerned about like my account's getting hacked or losing any funds. It's just there's been. I'm going to go grab one. I'll hand it to you, Steve, and I'll go find. Someone pulled up a thread that was. There's several yellow, if not red flags just in the whole thing. So just proceed with caution. And that was hence why I sent the van picture this morning, which was from Dyla, because that's what I probably would have signed up, but I don't know.
I mean, it's a privy wallet and you connect your X, so it seems relatively safe as far as that goes. I don't know. Again, do your own research on those things. I'm not connecting anything to the site. I see a lot of people talking about it. I had a conversation with someone yesterday about an app they were building that they're like, nobody questioned it. They just signed up. And it was someone who's perfectly legit. I saw him at the proof of play party. I actually tell you about it. You'll get a laugh. I'll tell you about that after the show. I forget the other story I had to tell you, but which sucks. I'll have to listen back to the beginning to get to the point that we were getting. But yeah, I talked to somebody at the proof of play party who was like, yeah, like I did this thing and like, yes, I'm legit, but nobody questioned it. Everybody was just kind of cool with it. He's like, it was kind of weird. So just be careful about this stuff, like what you sign up for. Looks like Humanity Protocol was using something not like they were kind of catfishing in some ways. So like not great for Humanity Protocol. So
and slashed on Ethos. It's funny.
Yeah.
TGA, their founder and the project got slashed because the founder on a Humanity Protocol is a catfish.
Yeah. So be careful out there, but let's let everyone get out of here and we'll figure it out. Thanks everyone who came through this morning. Talk to everybody bright and early tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time. Special guest coming on. We will promote that later today and talk to you then.
We did find that post. It's from Emilios, who's I thought was on the Ethos team, but is not. So it's pinned up top. If anyone's dive deeper on that Moonberg thing, called out like 6 or 7 red flags. So that's up top. And worst part, Von Prent says when you come on the pod. Oh, and you realize it's not a live space. Yeah. I don't know what was going on with spaces here at the end. Apologize. But yeah, it's still showing you as a listener, Steve. So
well, I will listen my way into the sun as the sun comes home. By the way, good example of what you can do on Moonberg, which made me skeptical about it, why I wasn't going to connect a wallet, but whatever. I did the privy email to set up the privy wallet. I put the privacy policy and the terms and conditions into ChatGPT, and it came up with more red flags than usual. So just be aware of that. Like that's what I'm doing with ChatGPT now is I'm putting all privacy policy and things like that into ChatGPT and asking it, and it tells me answers. But we'll send everybody off on their day. Thanks to everyone who came through this morning. Thanks to all those who came to speak. Great panel of speakers this morning with everyone who came up. Everyone on stage right now. We got Vicky, we got Signal, we got One to Million, we got Shock, we got Depressive Facts. A bunch of you came on. We had Joey Vowles coming up to give some insight. So thanks to everyone who came through. And I'm sorry if I missed anybody. All the commenters, we appreciate the heck out of you. We will talk to everybody bright and early tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thanks for tuning into Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, nothing we discussed today is financial advice. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Welcome to the future.